Big Daddy. How you doing?
I'm your huckleberry.
Lonzo is a superstar.
Shut the hell up.
You know what? It is it is a good day. Take Top Thursday starts now. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Happy Thursday. My dudes, my dudettes, my amigos, my amigettes, and my Mets fans. Welcome in. Happy to have you. Hope your week is going better than last week. But hope it's going swimmingly so far. Welcome in. What a day we've got lined up for you today. 1,010 things to get to on the radio broadcast today. We've got to talk some college football and some NFL coming up here in just a little while. Had the opportunity last night, Greenville Swamp Rabbits preseason game last night. Got the opportunity to speak with a gentleman by the name of Josh, big Gamecock fan. He saw me walking around the concourse there at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena, getting into a little preseason hacky. And we chatted for a minute, and he said, Rob Brown. First off, he said, Rob Brown, great to meet you. And I said, thank you, sir. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. It's a privilege to meet you, my dear friend. And I appreciate you coming to say hello. Because I always do. If you see me, come say hi. Swamp Harbor games, Drive games, Triumph games, doesn't matter. You see me, you come say hi. All right? That's what I'm there for. And more often than not, if I'm wearing a jersey, it's got my name across the back. You'll see me. I'm loud. Come say hi. He came up and he said, Rob Brown, can my Gamecocks fix it? And I said, solid maybe on that, Chief. That's a solid maybe on that. I said, however, you might want to find something better to do on Saturday, because I think it's going to go great.
Really?
And he said, yeah, I don't know.
You told a fan to not watch his team.
Directly to his face.
Wow.
Sure did.
Wow.
Sure did. Absolutely, entirely did.
You could not be a beacon of hope. You couldn't find one chance of positivity out of that game.
No, I did. I said, look, I said that what I ultimately hope here, what I'd really like to believe here is that this was what we in the business call a teachable moment. I said, I'd like to believe this is a teachable moment. I'd like to believe that this is a learning opportunity, that this is a chance for your team to look itself in the mirror and to say, hey, we screwed up. All right. We bleeped the bed. We got to get this right.
We had one bad game and now, Rob wasn't really on the boat, but he's trying to tip the boat over.
No. You're dead wrong.
One bad game.
Dead wrong.
One bad game.
No. Right. However, and I think this is kind of I thought about this a lot yesterday. We were having this conversation and we got into it a little bit at the game last night. I was thinking about it after we had the show last night. Or yesterday morning, pardon me. There was a lot going on in this. And I came to the conclusion, the resolution that, yeah, it is just one game. It's one game. It's one game. It's just one game. It's one game. Absolutely, I agree with you. It's not that it was a bad game. It's how it was a bad game, right? Like every team's going to have a bad game. Am I right, Alabama? Every team's going to have a bad game.
I have been on teams, I'm sure you have, where everything went wrong and it made no sense. Through osmosis, one bad thing happened. It turned into one of the worst things you've ever seen on the field. And in the following game, you got it back together and you played better.
Sure. Right. Absolutely. It's not that it was a bad game. It is how it was a bad game. It's not that, because there's days where you go out and you just get it wrong. There's days you go out and stuff just gets sideways on you. It happens to every team. It happens to every player. It happens to you and I as radio hosts and radio executive producers extraordinaire. Everybody has bad days. I get that. I understand that. It is not that it was a bad day. It's that there is let me put it this way. There is a difference in, and I'm gonna draw a comparison to us, because if there's one thing Lonzo and I like to do, it's make it about us. All right. I'm gonna draw the comparison.
No, I make it about us. You make it about you.
No, I make it about us when it's bad. That's a joke. Relax, everybody. Let me make it about us.
Is it?
Yes, most of the time. Let me make it about us. There is a difference in Robin Lonzo had a bad day because Robin Lonzo kept forgetting to turn their microphones on and off. It's 4-2, by the way.
Never happens.
Because Lonzo accidentally hit the trigger and played the music too early, because Rob kept stumbling over his words because he's a big dumb idiot, right? Those are things that just happen. That's the fumbling a handoff. That's the missing a window and throwing a pick. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna happen to everybody. And then there's the other side of the coin. Then there's you had a bad day because you weren't prepared, because you were undisciplined, right? Because you broke down in a bad spot. There's a difference between Rob had a bad show because he got out ahead of himself. He got out over his skis and he was fumbling his words and stuff. That happens. That's the formulatic mistakes. Versus Rob had a bad show because he drank a bunch of brown liquor the night before and he didn't prepare anything. He didn't have a rundown. He didn't come in here with a plan. He just came in here and said, bleep it, I'll wing it for 4 hours. I can do that. Which, don't get me wrong, I can. But you know what I do. I mean, I don't do it often. And normally when I do, it's something that I'll text the boss and be like, look, here's the deal, man. I got this going on tonight. It's gonna be a short prep night for me. Okay? There's a difference there. It's not that Carolina had a bad game. Bad games happen to everybody. Bama lost to Vandy. Bad games happen to everybody. It's that the reason you had a bad game is what is inexcusable. Having a bad game, very excusable. It's sports. Happens to everybody. Having a bad game because you had a bad mindset, your game plan sucked, you weren't prepared, that's a different story. That's tough. It is tough for me to excuse getting into the third quarter, recognizing that you ain't winning this game by running the football on Ole Miss. Clearly, your run game's not going to do it. And what was the response to that? Nothing. No adaptation, no changes, no nothing. They just kept going, yeah, we're just going to keep doing that. Hey, at some point, I understand the mentality of run the dang football. Run the dang football. I get that mentality. But at some point, you got to go, maybe we got to turn Lenore Sellers loose a little bit here. Maybe we got to lengthen the leash out a little bit. Let my man throw the ball. I don't know if I'm explaining this well enough because I'm bad at this job. But my thought is, so it's not that they had a bad game. I can excuse a bad game, maybe because I'm a kind and benevolent guy. Maybe two. I can excuse a couple of good games. What I can excuse is a bad game because you lack discipline. What I can't excuse is a bad game because your game plan stinks. You did, or in this case, what it felt like to me, you didn't really have one. It kind of felt to me that they were like, hey, we did well against LSU. Let's just do that again. Let's just run that one back. I don't get it. So the answer is, and again, when we did our expectations preseason, when we went back and forth about what do we expect to see, what do we expect the final results to be, and we were kicking that around a little bit. If thou shalt recall, I said the ceiling is 8-4, the floor is 4-8, and you can be anywhere in the middle. But where you are in that spot is going to be up to a couple of different games. The Ole Miss game was one. I did say preseason, I thought the LSU game was one because I thought coming into the season, LSU might be a little bit overrated. They lost a lot from last year. Thomas, Neighbors, Daniels, half their defense, they lost a lot. The LSU game was one. The Ole Miss game was one. The Kentucky game was one. The Oklahoma, A&M, Vandy, and Mizzou games were going to determine how your season went. Because I thought Old Dominion U was a win. Akron was a win. Wofford was a win. Vandy was a win, which, by the way, that ain't for sure anymore. So the floor was 4-8. The floor was you lose to Kentucky, LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, A&M, and Mizzou, and Clemson. And you're 4-8. And the ceiling was you beat Old Dominion, you beat Kentucky, you beat LSU, you beat Ole Miss, You beat Oklahoma, you beat A&M, you beat Vandy, you beat Mizzou, you beat Wofford. You're somewhere in the 8-4, 9-3, 7-5 ballpark. The team that I saw on Saturday, not because they had a bad game, and I agree with you, they had one bad game, but the team that I saw against Ole Miss, that team certainly ain't beating Alabama. And when I say ain't beating Alabama, and I will acknowledge that there's an outside factor in this conversation, and the outside factor in this conversation is that Bama just took the upset L to Vandy. And as we pointed out, or as I pointed out earlier this week, teams coming off of an upset, top 25 teams coming off of an upset, cover the spread the next week by something to the tune of like almost 77%. When a team in the top 25 gets upset the next week, almost to a T, they cover cover the spread. This is not just a team coming in upset that they got upset, and not just upset, but like upset that will be discussed for years. We've always said when we talk college football upsets, what's the number one illustration? What's the go-to when you say college football upsets? What has been until last weekend the illustration of college football upsets? App State, Michigan. Now it's Vandy, Alabama. That's how big this upset was to me. This upset to me, even as a Power 4 school, is a bigger upset than App State, Michigan.
No, I don't think so.
Is it in the same conversation?
It is in the same conversation.
Good enough for now.
But it's like a lower two. It's definitely not right. Yeah.
I will accept
because of the level of football that App State was at the time.
I mean, I think there's been years where App State's been better than Vanderbilt, if we're keeping it a buck.
Probably, but
Yeah.
but a lot of those times they were a different level of football. They have moved up since then. I don't think they have moved up when they beat Michigan. I think they were still down.
I was in FCS squad.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, they were
Or
still FCS.
even
In
at the
fact, I know they were FCS
at the time. They might have been called Division II.
Yeah. I will say, for the sake of what the upset meant to Vandy and all that, it's at least in the discussion. That's good enough for me. When we, 10 years from now, are talking about the biggest college football upsets, you know how we get to like May and June, and I want to talk baseball, but you guys don't? And so we gotta like force a college football discussion. Who's the greatest player to ever wear number 25? You know, that kind of stuff. Inevitably, once a year, we have our conversation during the off season of what's the biggest college football upset of all time. Alabama, Vandy's in that discussion now. It's going to be App State, Michigan. It's going to be Vandy, Alabama. This team, after they beat Georgia, kind of felt like they had an arrow's flight into the SEC title game. Guys, they don't anymore. They're out of room for mistakes. Because I'll tell you right now, and I could be wrong about this, I believe in Texas now. I think Texas is that good. I think Texas is that good. Said that to Horvat and Brad Evans on BetMGM tonight on Tuesday. I think Texas is that good. I think Texas is going to, and I want to work this word into the show more, Alonzo, mollywop the Boomer Sooners this weekend.
Not a word. You just made that up.
Mollywop?
Never heard it before in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I'm much older than you.
Mollywop.
No.
Like beat the hell out of.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You guys have heard the word mollywop before, right?
Must be the glasses you're wearing or something. You're just bringing stuff out of nowhere.
I decided to go full D-bag on the show today since we're doing Tank Top Thursday. And I saw these on Amazon the other day, and I'm like, it's not bad. They're not bad. Do you recognize them? Do you know where they're from?
They look like something RDJ would be wearing.
Edith. Remember when Spider-Man gets the glasses from Iron Man?
Well,
that's what these are.
So I was right.
And so I'm a perfect mix of D-bag and giant nerd. Right down the middle. Kind of nailed it.
So you're Mysterio. Way to go.
I mean, not wrong.
So you think you're Jake Gyllenhaal?
I mean, you know, I feel like if you were putting together a list of celebrities, like me and Jake Gyllenhaal are kind of in the same boat, right? We're kind of around each other.
I don't know. You look more like someone who is a Twitch video gamer. That's what you look like. Disguising yourself so you can go out in public wearing, you know, what you normally wear and not that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not upset about it. I do it for the record. I look cool. I mean, I'm convinced I look cool, and at the end of the day, that's
And the fact that your camera is just not working right, it plays right into it.
I'm not gonna lie, they also aren't prescriptions, so I can't tell if my camera's blurry or I'm blurry.
Oh no, you're blurry. You've been blurry, and it's been frozen several times, which has been perfect for what you're wearing. Yeah, it just really works. No, it's out of focus, and I think you should leave it like that because again,
it looks good on my screen.
and okay, well, maybe some comments from anyone out there watching because you're froze right now on mine.
Oh no, I look good. I'm looking at the live stream over here, which you can too at facebook.com/thefan-upstate. The YouTube channel is The Fan Upstate, or the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Join us, won't you, as we broadcast all 4 hours of the show live each and every single day. We'd love to have you. Also want you to use the Ray Memorial voice hotline, the Ray Memorial hotline available. The Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page, click on the little microphone button. You can leave a 60-second voice note for the great one and I, the Ray. That's what we came up with yesterday. And unless any of you have a better name for it, which I don't think you do, that's a pretty solid name. The Ray Memorial hotline is open for you. Go to the Odyssey app, click on the microphone button, click and leave us a 60-second voice message at your leisure. And it becomes hashtag content. We'd love to have you. All right. Was it unfair? Let's talk about this when we come back. Was it unfair of me yesterday to tell a Gamecock fan, of which I am married to one now? Was it fair of me to tell a Gamecock fan yesterday they might want to find something better to do than watch their team play on Saturday? Because I got to tell you, I felt like it was correct to say that. I said it a minute ago, and I thought Lonzo was about to throw sharp, pointing objects at me.
Because we just lost a listener, and that's I
no,
mean,
he didn't. He was very cool. We talked in the parking lot for like 10 minutes after that.
Of course, you're going to do that, and then later on, it's like, man, what a jerk move. Why would he say that? I mean, he can't find it. He does this for a living. He can't find something positive to tell me.
I did. I said I hope it's a teachable moment. I hope that Shane can go in and go, boys, we gotta be more.
Were you
disciplined.
wearing that costume last night?
No, I was wearing a hockey jersey.
Okay,
it was at a hockey game.
Okay,
yeah. Now this is a costume. This is an outfit.
People seem to think it's a costume. So I mean, yeah.
I'm Bill Murray.
Okay.
I bought the Bill Murray Space Jam jacket. All right, back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Make sure you go ice your knees, like Bill Murray.
I'm real mad you said that because yesterday as I was walking down the stairs, I turned the corner to say hi to somebody, and I hit my knee into the side of one of the chairs. My knee is swollen today. I didn't like wreck it. I mean, like I just hit it. My knee is swollen this morning. It's real upsetting that I've hit this stage in my life.
We don't do IR. Deal with it. Rub some dirt on it.
That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside. Just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas.
It's a little toasty in here.
To get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MOON5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank.
Panthers breaking out the black helmets. I love the black helmets. They are sweet.
Running a small business is no small task. At Home Trust Bank, we work hard to prepare businesses for whatever tomorrow may bring. Your dreams are our business, and we have local experts who can help you plan for a successful future. Dependable guidance you need and service you'll appreciate. At Home Trust Bank, we take your small business banking personally. Visit your local Home Trust branch or anytime at htb.com. Member FDIC.
Diesel here from the Fan Upstate, inviting you to join me every Sunday at Dave & Buster's, 1025 Woodruff Road in Greenville, starting at 1 p.m. all season long. All the biggest games on the big screens, plus great food and your favorite cold beverage. every game, every week at Dave & Buster's.
Autumn is in the air, and like the leaves, prices are falling at Harbor Freight's parking lot sale this weekend. We've got tons of products on sale, like 3-ton jacks for under $100, 5,000-watt generators, $250 off, plus dual pedal electric saws and nearly.
So I'm looking right now, and apparently our Wi-Fi is unstable. Hence the chaos. But that doesn't make sense because I'm plugged into the network.
Yeah, I was going to say, why is that? Yeah. And why is it not doing it to me?
My computer says it's plugged into the network. Not Wi-Fi. My computer has full signal. So I don't know what string you're at.
It's what he's wearing, Joe.
Obviously.
Well, you don't have time now, but drop out and jump back in. See if that helps.
Department football looks for its second straight conference win Saturday when it welcomes Chattanooga to Powellman Stadium. Hi, I'm Dan Scott, voice of the Powellmans. Join David Cobb, Tom Van Hoy, and me as we bring you all the action of the Powellmans and the Mocs, beginning with the Pepsi Countdown to kickoff at 12:30. Kick is at 2 p.m. You can hear all the action on the Fan Upstate. Furman and Chattanooga Saturday. Pepsi Countdown to kickoff begins at 12:30 p.m.
I particularly like how it's frozen now because his forehead looks really, really big.
I got a Peyton Manning 5 head.
Yeah, it's wow.
So, appropriate or inappropriate? Lonzo says, throw the yellow flag on Rob Brown. Rob Brown says, probably not. Yesterday at the Swamp Rabbits preseason hockey game, as we get set for the season opener a week from tomorrow at the Bonsor Core Wellness Arena. By the way, the voice of the Swamp Rabbits, Mark Benetti, will join us on tomorrow's show. And Kyle Mountain, the new head coach of the Swamp Rabbits, will join us next week on the program as we get set for the drop. Also tomorrow on the show, Joe Irwin and Doug Irwin, the owner, president, and CBO of the Greenville Triumph, join us because remember how yesterday I said there was big news coming down the pipe that was going to, even if you're not a soccer guy, was going to ring a bell for you? One of the greatest soccer players in the history of the sport. And I'm not talking on a local level, a college level. I am talking about in the name of the game. Ronaldinho, one of the greatest players of all time, got welcomed into the Triumph ownership group last night. The Greenville Triumph are now partly owned by freaking Ronaldinho. You know who that is, even if you're just like on the fringe of the soccer world, just like on the fringe of it. Ronaldinho, one of the greatest of all to ever play the game, internationally or otherwise, now part of the Greenville Triumph ownership group. That's it. That's beyond incredible. So anyway, last night hockey game, getting game's over. I'm walking out to the parking lot after the game. And because I love the people, I am indeed a man of the people. I didn't have my board up yet. Because I am indeed a man of the people. When I leave the hockey games, I don't go out the VIP tunnel of which I am entitled to utilize. Instead, because I go out the concourse where the people are.
It's got to be the jersey, and no, it's the glasses. It's the glasses. It's got to be.
Kind of feeling myself a little bit today.
I could go out the MVP tunnel, but because I'm one of you people,
I go out with the people. So as I was walking out amongst the people, one of the people stopped me. Josh, Armada guy, brand new to the Armada, said I found you about no, he is. He said I found you guys a couple of weeks ago. and I've been enjoying the show in the mornings. I said, great, good to have you. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Armada. You're now P1 automatically. He said, do you think my Gamecocks, and I'm asking the question the way that he phrased it to me, quote, can fix it, end quote. And I said, here's what I'll tell you, man. I was very disappointed in Saturday against Ole Miss. Not the loss. The loss I can understand. Ole Miss is a good team. I don't think they're up there with the Buckeyes and the Longhorns like a lot of folks wanted you to believe preseason that they are. But I think they're a good football team. I said I'm glad you prevented Juice Wells from coming in and having a narrative game against you. That was one of the big talking points. Is this cat a former Gamecock who transferred out and ticked off a lot of Gamecock fans on the way out the door? Does this guy come in and have like 125 yards and 2 touchdowns against you? No, he didn't. What do you have, 1 catch in that game? Good. I'm glad you were prepped for that, to prevent him from having that narrative game. I said, but I'm disappointed because it felt to me as if the team's game plan was either bad or non-existent. Either way, not a good look. Felt to me as if the team was undisciplined. We talked about the Dylan Stewart penalty, of which, by the way, I was told yesterday, and I may have missed it, but I was told yesterday that Stewart did that a couple of times in that game. That was the one that got flagged, but apparently he had done it another time, and I guess it just didn't get caught. Or maybe I just missed it. I don't know. But apparently he did that a couple of times. That kind of stuff can't happen. I said I was disappointed by the preparation or lack thereof. I was disappointed with the execution or lack thereof. I'm not okay with what happened. And I said, can it be fixed? I think yes, right? I think yes. Here's my only concern. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later on.
Okay, so you did give him something. You made it sound like it was net. If he asked, could it be fixed, and you said yes, that was positive.
Oh, for sure.
From all the other stuff you said, all that was negative.
Let me be clear. Can it be fixed? Yes. I do think that this is going to be I think we're at a really important point in the tenure of one Shane Beamer. In fact, I think right now is the make or break point of Shane Beamer's career. I think what happens now through the remainder of the season will go a long way in determining whether or not Shane Beamer is the head coach of this football team in a year, 2 years, 3 years from now. Because discipline, lack of game planning, lack of execution, these are all things that can be fixed. But I'll tell you, in my opinion, I will tell you what has to happen for that to happen. This is the part where players, coaches have to be less player coach. This is the part where the coach that the players love to be around. This is the part where the coach that likes to dance in the locker room and put on funny glasses. I don't know what kind of D-bag would do that. But this is the part where the dude who likes to do the fun stuff and have the fun stuff because the players enjoy it, that's got to stop for a little while. That's got to stop for a little while. It is nuts and bolts time. It is time to figure out what got us here so that we can get away from it. I want to be clear. When I ask the question, or when Josh asked the question, can it be fixed? The answer is yes. But it's going to take a shift in the mentality of Shane Beamer, in my opinion. It's going to take a shift in the mentality of the coaching staff top to bottom. It's going to take a shift in the mentality of the program as a whole. And on top of all of that, you are in the midst of the perfect storm, because while you've got all that is circulating around your program after a bad loss to Ole Miss, not just a loss, because a loss was fine. Said that last week. You lose this game, it is what it is. A bad loss, a poor performance, a poor showing against Ole Miss, and you got one of the let's be as gracious as we can. Despite losing to Vanderbilt, one of the 3 best teams in the Southeastern Conference. Because, yes, they lost to Vanderbilt, but let's not, as I pointed out, I thought Vandy covers the spread, not wins, covers the spread. Why? Because they beat Georgia the week before, a good Georgia team. So right now, to me, it's Texas, Bama, Georgia, 1, 2, 3 in the Southeastern Conference. Bama had a bad game just like South Carolina did. The problem is the reason you're in the midst of the perfect storm.
Wait. So you're going to put Bama above Vanderbilt even though they lost to Vanderbilt?
Yes, because if they play that game 100 times, Bama wins 99.
Yeah, but they don't do that.
Correct. They only play it once.
They play it once per season. And right now, according to the standings, Bama is not above Vanderbilt.
According to the standings, if we put those 2 teams on the field on Saturday to run it back, and I told you that you had to put your career, let's up the stakes. Lonzo, Vandy, Alabama this Saturday, neutral site, hair v. hair match. Your luscious locks are on the line. Who's your money going on?
Right now, after what I saw last week, it's on Vanderbilt. Because this is a hypothetical, so I can say whatever I want. They can't play each other again unless they play each other in the playoff. So that could actually happen.
If you get rid of hypotheticals, you get rid of 90% of what we do for a living. That's how you compare and contrast things, is hypotheticals. Right? That is how you compare and contrast
it could
things.
Just be a complete stat show and preview everything.
I agree, but that's boring and nobody wants that. Right? Nobody wants that. When you are putting out opinions and making prognostications, you do so with every time we pick a football game. Hey, coming up this weekend, Saints Bucks. We got to make a prediction. It's a hypothetical. Hypothetically, I think this team wins.
You're talking about how South Carolina can fix things. First of all, there's a stigma on the program, has been forever, and you just don't fix that. If you could, it would already be gone. The only one who's ever come close to getting rid of that stigma, that losing mentality, which seems to prevail, was Steve Spurrier, and then he fizzled out in the end. I don't get what you mean by fixing things. How is at the end of this season, if Beamer were to keep his job, what would he have done that fixed it?
I need this team to come out in games like the game that they have upcoming against Oklahoma, the game they have upcoming against A&M, the game they have against Vandy, the game against Mizzou, the game against Clemson. And I need a team that if they lose, you go, they lose because they lost to a better ball club. Not they lost because they looked unprepared. They looked undisciplined. They looked like the game plan wasn't one.
So the losses that they took this year were like that, except for the last one. They had one bad game.
They've had again, we disagree on this, so I'm just gonna say it. No, they've had 2. The Old Dominion game sucked. It was week 1.
They won.
I don't care. That's not it.
Yeah, winning is kind of important.
I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying you can play booty cheeks and win, just like you can play great and lose. It happens. What I am looking for, as I have said a couple of times, is do you look disciplined? Do you execute? And is your game plan put together? Because it was not against Ole Miss. And I told Josh, this team could come in with the best game plan and the best execution in the history of the program. You're getting beat this weekend by Alabama. I don't ever say this. In the 4.5 years I've done this, I have never said this. There is no world South Carolina wins on Saturday. There's no reality they win this game on Saturday.
Coming up on the anniversary I just saw of when South Carolina beat Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be done. And I can't be negative like you.
I'm not being negative. I'm being real.
They're going to play like they have played every game except for the last game. They're going to be fine. Will they win? Probably not. Could they? Absolutely, they could. Alabama not nearly as good as people think. And I'm going to be positive. So next time, Josh, talk to someone who might be positive.
Okay.
And not the height of negativity.
Plenty of positivity. There's plenty of chances left to fix it. There's plenty of chances to get the discipline better, to enact the game plan. It is going to take an institutional shift in mindset, but you're up against the juggernaut this Saturday, and a juggernaut that is infuriated.
A juggernaut that just lost to Vanderbilt, which means you're not a juggernaut.
Real bad loss. One of the worst, maybe the worst loss in the history of the program. And they are coming.
Wow, you should be
blood.
saying the same thing about them that you're saying about Beamer then. How could they come out and play that way?
I have.
Did they forget that they're Alabama? I haven't heard it. So maybe you did it on some other show.
I have. The difference is that is a difference in 17 years of that club versus South Carolina, that this is, as you've said, what we come to expect. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Okay, Brandon, if Beamer needs to be gone, who needs to replace him? What do they need to do to fix things that haven't been fixed in a very long time? What do they need to do? Go out and get a senior transfer because you've got a redshirt freshman starting, and you can't do that because, I mean, you got to have experience there. You can't let that guy grow in his role. I don't know. This is the best defense they played in a long time. Yeah, not last week, but I mean, in years, because they actually try to tackle, which is amazing thing. Never got any of that during Muschamp. I mean, what would you do, Brandon?
This goes back to the old metaphor of I don't need to know how to cook to tell you the food on the table is bad. I don't need to know what comes next to tell you what you have now isn't working. I'm not saying that about Shane Beamer right now. I'm saying I'm closer to it now than I was since he showed up. I'm not saying mid-season firing. I'm saying this team has a realistic possibility of being 4-8 at the end of the year.
Which you said at minimum was a possibility.
Was the
season.
worst case.
I mean,
was the worst case. And again, I don't think there's many fans of any school that are gonna go, well, at least we got to at least we weren't worse than the worst case.
Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, testing and inspection fire protection system.
I don't know who London is, but I bet they're very excited about the first real test for the Ohio State Buckeyes this weekend. London seems like the kind of guy who's not, oh no, here they come, more like bring it. That's how London is. Now me, I'm not that guy, but London, not quite.
We need to get London on the show.
Not quite Lorenzo, because Lorenzo, that's a totally different dude.
We need to get London on the show. I bet London's got some hot takes.
London is a hot take machine.
Hot take machine.
Yeah, I understand the autocorrect goes to London. I haven't figured that out. I mean, why? But it's happened a bunch of times.
I do want to be clear about one thing. Alabama's got issues. I'm not saying they don't.
Like the same issues that South Carolina has, including a player doing something really stupid. something that
So-
never would have happened under Saban.
Malachi Moore is who I assume Lonzo was talking about here. Defensive back who was you are correct, throwing absolute temper tantrums as the conclusion of that game, the inevitability of the upset became real. Malachi Moore was at one point the ref spotted the ball and he like walked over and just kicked it, standing in the middle of 3 referees. Just walked up and kicked the ball. And I'm like, what an idiot. And then he's getting into it with his own teammates. Last snap, he like takes out his mouthpiece and throws it. And if there is one thing Lonzo despises, it's a thrown mouthpiece. Biggest cardinal sin in all of sports. Do not throw your mouthpiece.
Pinkies belong in your mouth.
Not on the ground or in the stands.
Or in the air or wherever it might land.
I did have a chuckle when I saw my man rip his mouthpiece 40 yards down the field. I'm like, oh, Lonzo's going to be furious about this. Furious about this guy.
See, that's what happens when Steph is your role model.
So I am not saying Alabama's not without their own questions. And one of them is absolutely the concept of discipline. In fact, at one point, the Bama coaching staff sent in a sub for Malachi Moore, and he refused to come out of the game. Sent the sub back to the sideline. Was like, no, bro, I'm not coming out. Get your backup behind back on the sideline. The defensive coordinator and Kalen DeBoer were running down the sideline like, get out of the game, dude. And he straight up told him no. I had never seen anything like. I mean, I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm just saying I have never. Here's I've been hanging on this clip for a minute. Former Alabama Crimson Tide running back Damian Harris talked a little bit about Malachi Moore.
Number 13, Malachi Moore. Now, brother, I don't know you, but I'm not trying to disrespect you. But what you did last night on that football field was complete and utter bullshit.
Oh, sorry. Dumped that. Yep. Thought I hit the wrong clip. Good save. My bad. I get one a month. Year. Week. All right. Well, Damian Harris said a lot. I'll clean that clip up for us for later. Damian Harris said, effectively, what you did on the field was unacceptable. What you did on the field was unacceptable. He said this never would have happened under Nick Saban. And I don't disagree. It wouldn't have. But I think that with the change in coaching and with a change in staff comes a change in philosophy. And when you change the philosophy of something that's been in place for a very long time, it takes some time getting used to. If this was, and to kind of roll this back over to South Carolina, if this was Shane Beamer's first year, if this was Shane Beamer's second year, I'd be probably a lot more forgiving about it. A lot more, hey, complete change in philosophy of this program from where it was to where it is. I am more forgiving of it for Alabama. We always say we compare everything in sports to one of 3 things: food, relationships, or professional wrestling, right? One of 3 things. I'm going to compare this one to a relationship because that's what I thought of. For those of you that have been in the dating game at any point in your life, many of you have had a long-term relationship end, right? Couple years, 2, 3, 4 years. Y'all were together and you fell into kind of a routine, right? She cooks, I clean the dishes. She washes the clothes, I fold them and put them away. I do this, she does that, I do this. You get into that rhythm and that routine. And then there comes a point down the line where that relationship ends. And at some point, you find yourself in a new one. And what is, I don't know about you, I can just say this about me. One of the most difficult things for me in years gone by. One of the most difficult things for me in years gone by, not anymore, obviously, but back in the day when I would get out of a relationship and then get into a new one, is that sometimes you just make the assumption that because this is how it was, this is how it shall be. And you fall back into your old routine with your ex, and then it causes a rift with your new partner. She used to cook and you did the dishes. So then one day the new partner comes over and you just kind of assume, well, she's going to cook and I'm going to do the dishes. Why? Because that's how it's been. But there's somebody new at the helm. There's somebody new in the mix. You gotta evaluate and realize that everything's going to change. Now, Kalen DeBoer's been on the job for 5 games. 5 games. That man's been there. Yeah, especially with the guys who were here because Saban was here. This is a different guy with a different philosophy and a different approach to the game. Those guys are going to have to rewire that mindset to fit into Alabama football. The guys in Columbia, they're all Shane's guys. So no, he doesn't. Yes, I know it's a wild sentence to say. Shane, in my opinion, for the discussion at hand, which is about discipline and game planning, Shane doesn't have the same level of forgiveness that Kalen DeBoer does year one at Alabama. Now, the difference is Shane Beamer doesn't have the, respectfully, quality of players that they have at the University of Alabama. That's just an inherent advantage that Kalen DeBoer has. But realistically speaking, in my opinion, subjective as it may be, in my opinion, Kalen DeBoer's got more grace in that aspect of the coaching game than Shane Beamer does because he's been there for 5 games.
Yeah, but he doesn't, because if it was Nick Saban, I would agree, but he's not.
It's not Nick Saban.
Right. This is his first year. He shouldn't be getting slack where other people are not. He should be under the same microscope, if anything, and people are talking about the lack of discipline on Alabama right now, things that Nick Saban wouldn't have put up with. More so than what they're talking about South Carolina. Definitely a concern for Alabama with stuff like that.
It is a concern. I promise you they're having this conversation on the radio in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And I know that because I've heard it. I've heard it on the Bama pods. I've heard it on the shows down there. They absolutely are talking about it in Tuscaloosa. But it is because the fans have been Saban fans for 17 freaking years or whatever it was. So they're not used to it either. But he is not Nick Saban. He's not the same guy. Forget the same guy or same philosophy. He ain't Nick Saban. If and when.
And he doesn't have Nick Saban's players because a bunch of those guys bailed when Nick Saban left.
Sure did.
So this is not that Alabama team that it was last year.
Completely agreed. It's still a really good team. There's still a ton of talent down there.
Are they?
Jalen Milroe is one of the best 3 quarterbacks in college football.
Not good enough to beat Vanderbilt, though.
Again, they've had one bad game, Lonzo.
Exactly.
One bad game.
Exactly.
The context,
I bet you can find all kinds of positive. You just have said a bunch of positive things about Alabama, but you couldn't say it about South Carolina.
I absolutely did. Your disregard of me saying it doesn't mean I didn't say it. I absolutely said positive things. If it is an issue of discipline, that can be fixed. If it was an issue of poor game planning, that can be fixed. And to me, that's what it was. The difference is the things that went wrong for South Carolina in their game against Ole Miss, those are things fixed at a coaching level. What went wrong for Alabama are things that are fixed at a coaching level, right? It's not entirely, they didn't play great, but it's not entirely on the players. If the players are undisciplined, it's the coach's fault. If the players, if the game plan is bad, it's the coach's fault. And I would say that was true about both South Carolina and at Alabama. Okay? Now, here's what I would say. With these, I love this text. I'm coming to this text in a second, Texter. Thank you for that. Kalen DeBoer has been on the job for 5 games. And by the way, did not get a full preseason with the team, right? He came over after Nick Saban shock retired. He has not had a full preseason, and he's been at the helm for 5 games. Shane's been there 3 years. 3 years. If you haven't instilled discipline in your program after 3 years, we got to have a discussion. If you haven't instilled discipline in your team after 5 games, I'll give you some time.
You're right. You're absolutely right, because under Shane Beamer, they've had a history of these incidents, and he hasn't been able to get it under control. This happens game after game, season after season. I'm sure you can name like at least 10, 15 times that this has happened under Shane Beamer.
Nope, but I can tell you times that we've had too many men on the field penalties. I can tell you plenty of drives that have been killed off by penalties. These are also disciplinary issues. These are also issues of a lack of discipline. They just are what they are. That's my issue. And again, there's a difference in a coach who's been there 5 games versus 3 years.
3 years. You're
Yes.
right. You're right. Because
There's
the
a
guy's
difference.
been there 5 games, already having problems with discipline. Guy's been there 3 years, has had 1 incident.
A team that has played together 5 games under this coach, of which 15, if I'm guessing and being extreme, 15% of his players are his guys, right? Because a bunch of Bama guys left, but a bunch of Bama guys stepped up to fill those holes. Kalen DeBoer brought 6 transfers with him out of 100 plus guys on the roster. So when I say 15%, that's like probably double what that number is. So yes, a coach who's been on the job not 1 full season and 5 games, who is coaching a team comprised, let's say, generously, 85% of players who were brought there by somebody else, versus a guy who's had 3 full off seasons, 3.5 seasons, and whose roster is, let's be conservative, 85% players he recruited to South Carolina. Yeah, I would say that. I would say there's a different disciplinary situation there. Texter said Milroe is not a good quarterback. He couldn't beat Vanderbilt, dude. Shut the up sometimes. Stop trying to ruin your own show. I'll tell you what right now, Texter. Whomps I assume respectfully is a South Carolina fan. I'll give you a choice right now. Jalen Milroe or Lenora Sellers.
The same guy destroyed me like 2 texts earlier. Or he thinks so. So, I mean,
that's okay. I like the opinions.
I also like that. I like the
Texas said, Rob, your negativity
text.
has poisoned the well here. Again, guys, I need you to know whether you like it or not. And I can tell you don't. This conversation for me stems from optimism. It does. This stems from optimism. What stems from optimism is the fact that I believe that if this is indeed a disciplinary and game planning issue, not a talent issue, but a disciplinary issue. Oh, Texter said that was sarcasm for Lonzo. Checks out. Disciplinary and game planning issue. That's fixable. I believe it can be fixed. I absolutely do. I just don't think it's going to get fixed by the time you take on Alabama Saturday. That's my take.
Yeah, Tony Robbins, you are not. I would have walked out of this seminar probably like 5 minutes into it, because you gotta work on your positivity.
As we have
and
said,
when a fan says, "Can you tell me something good about my team?" and you can't.
I am not here to kiss you or Shane or Josh's or anybody else's booty cheeks. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to go sunshine and rainbows. Everything's great. It's glittering unicorns everywhere. I'm here to say this is broken, and if you want to be good, this has got to be fixed. There is no point in talking about what's going right. You want me to just clap? Yay! Everything. No, you can't fix what's not broken. You fix what's broken. You fix what's wrong. And if you fix the things that are wrong, do you know what you get to do? You get to take those things and you get to move them over to the here's what's right category. And if you get most of the things in the here's what's wrong category in the here's what's right category, so the here's what's right category is filled and the here's what's wrong category ain't filled, do you know what you get to do? Then you get to start going, I love our football team all the time. We're way more good than bad. But if the majority of things, or at least the biggest blocks, are in the here's what's broken category, that's what you focus on. This show ain't here to, I love your team. They're so amazing. You're the bestest.
Don't worry, people. I'll swipe the glasses at some point and it'll go back to being Rob. I'll do that.
Full heel mode. Say hello to the bad guy. Say hello to Lonzo. He's about to wow you with this sports flash.
Well, anything after
that was nice.
Anything after that negativity has got to be positive. One half of the National League Divisional Series is set. The Mets beat the Phillies last night 4-1 off the back of Francisco Lindor grand slam in the 6th inning. The Mets await the winner of Friday's Game 5 between the Dodgers and Padres. The Dodgers extended the series back to L.A. with a dominating 8-0 win over San Diego. On the American League side, the Tigers took a 2-1 lead over the Guardians with a 3-0 win at home, and the Yankees went up 2-1 in their series with Kansas City after a 3-2 win. Both of those series will resume today with Cleveland versus Detroit at 6:08 and the Yankees at the Royals at 8:08. Make sure you tune in this Saturday at 12:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Chattanooga Mocs. It's Furman versus Chattanooga right here on your home for Paladins football, exclusively right here on The Fan, Upstate.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on The Fan, Upstate.
Do you know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day? Hi, this is Dr. Elliot Hirschman with New Life Weight Loss, and we know the secret. Our unique doctor-supervised weight loss program makes it easy to lose.
I get everything you're saying, Donovan, except for the people who never played the game thing. That always bothers me because I think you can look at something and be objective without ever having done it. I've never been a doctor, but I can tell when you do an operation on a part that wasn't supposed to be operated on, that's probably not a good thing. Never been a plumber, but I can spot a bad plumber, you know, like when they say it's fixed and it still leaks. True, because some people's fandom is just that. They want to be a fan of a team. They don't want to get all the intricacies of all the reasons and things. They just want to see their team play well and hopefully win.
Well, then just watch your team on
and
replay.
not every fandom is the same. And some people look down on other people because they don't fan the way they do. And that's
Aren't you
shouldn't be
kind
how
of doing that to
fandom
me
works.
a little bit though?
No, you're doing it to us. I was
No, I
talking
feel like
about
you're doing
you.
it to
I
me.
did it first. You can't turn it on me. I already no
I
talk
can.
backs.
I'm good at it.
No talk backs.
No takesies, backsies.
And a texter who I hope is watching on stream, but probably not, who says my fandom comes out when Rob goes at the Gamecocks. You're right, it does, because no one will defend the Gamecocks. So someone has to. I'll be your knight. I mean, I'm fat. I'm out of shape. I'm old. I'm not the guy that
You're
should
Robert
be.
Baratheon.
I should not be the knight to stand up for you, but I will because no one else will. So.
I, on the other hand, am your family member that says, I love you, but you're destroying your life, and I want better for you.
I don't think you are.
I absolutely am.
I don't think you are, Mr. Non-confrontational. Your words, not mine, because you're just as controversial. I mean, you want to fight more than most people. So
I don't want to fight. I just want people to recognize I'm right.
That's yeah. And what starts fights more than anything? That kind of thing. QC in the first break.
QC in the first break.
No, just one QC. If you want to do 2 QCs, I mean, you can do that. And your thing is still all screwed up.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm gonna drop out and come back in. Be right back, guys.
You waited till like the show.
That's all right. I'll be back before the intro.
Yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah,
More of me
as
is
you're there.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Who cares if I'm there?
well, since this thing runs out of this computer, which is what I was talking about, it had nothing to do with me. It had to do with the computer because I'm not a me guy. I'm an us guy. I'm a we guy.
You're what? You're a what?
I'm a we guy.
He's a Wii guy, ladies and gentlemen.
Because the Wii was an amazing gaming system back in the day.
It really was.
Unfortunately, I mean, when things stopped working, it just disappeared. Wii bowling was amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, I was real good at Wii Mario Kart. Like appreciate the talent good at Wii Mario Kart. Unbelievably good at Wii Mario Kart.
They may still have some tournaments. I mean, you know, we can find you a Wii. You can enter a tournament. You can.
I also haven't played Wii Mario Kart in a very long time. Like a very long time. Like a real long time.
That sounds like something someone old would say.
Oh, for sure it is. For sure it is. Ladies and gentlemen, hour number 2 with the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back. Great to have you. Rob the Great Milazzo with you here on a lovely upstate Thursday morning. Going to let you know we got a busy show coming up over the next few hours. At 8 a.m., 58 minutes from right now. Not 1 hour and just regular 58 minutes from now. Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News going to join us on the phone. She'll talk a little Gamecock football. I'll ask her if I'm being overzealous in my, according to Lonzo, great pessimism.
I look forward to your wordsmith and the way you word it in a way to where she can only answer the question in a positive way that makes you look a certain light because you are skilled in that way, or nefarious, depending on how you look at it.
What if I told you that I'm just right sometimes? Shocking, I know.
I've been around you a lot. I don't know if that's true.
I know ball. At 8:40. Rashad Beard will join us here on the program to talk Carolina Panther football. And at 9 o'clock, straight up on the dot, Hating Ass Mario from the BetQL Network, Mario Herron, going to join us to talk a little NFL football as we head towards the second quarter of the season. So make sure you're here for those 3 interviews. Lulu Keston at 8, Rashad Beard at 8:40, and Hating Ass Mario at 9. But it is 7:03 in the morning. You have 56 minutes and 40 seconds before you've got to clock in and lock in at the office. And here's the game plan. You're going to do like a solid 11 to 12 minutes of work. And then you're going to get up and you're going to push your chair in real gentle. And you're going to walk down the hall, tiptoe creep down the hall to avoid being detected by the person who signs your paychecks, because you want to sneak off into the break room and talk sports. And it's your right as an American to do just that. But see, if you're going to talk sports, you got to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you got to know what's going on in the world of sports, you need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
I'm your huckleberry.
Before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Shut the hell up.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Welcome back. The water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office this morning. Thursday, I'm gonna say Monday morning. What? It feels like a Monday morning. Thursday morning.
You're making it a Monday morning with all your negativity.
It's not negativity. It's reality. Sorry. Welcome to it.
You need a Monstar jersey on, not a Toon Squad.
I bought one. It's not here yet. But when I said yesterday I was rocking the Space Jam jersey, the Toon Squad jersey today, immediately was like, I got to get a Monstar jersey next. Obviously. Got to get a Monstar.
We'll see if it's opposite day when he wears that. Maybe he'll come in and everything will be sunshine and rainbows.
Gamecocks, you're so good. You're so good. You had a little stumble. Don't you worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. Gamecocks 72, Crimson Tide 3. coming up on Saturday.
Man,
Everything's
and
amazing.
if that comes to pass, I'll be coming in Monday going, see, I told you, I was positive, and I predicted the score exactly.
What's the line on that game? Let's see what the spread on that game is. Take a stab. Set that line, Lonzo. Alabama favored by how many points?
14.
Stab in the dark. 14. I will be stunned if it's less than 20 and a half.
He's looking at it now.
I'm looking it up right now.
When he said that, yeah.
Let's see. No, I don't have it up yet. You can see the reflection of my glasses. I'm not there yet.
Why don't you Google faster?
Well, I'm
Must
just
be
not
those
good at it.
old arthritic fingers.
What did I say? 20 and a half?
I don't pay attention to the show.
21 and a half. Alabama favored by 21 and a half. And I'll be honest,
Wow, I was off by a touchdown and a half.
they're covering the spread. I was off by a point.
Mhm.
Because you know why? Because I'm realistic. There's no one more neutral than Vegas.
Because you have a national show about betting, so you should be good at it.
Because I'm realistic. I'm not going to blow smoke. You're a
Okay.
3-tutty dog in this one. 3-tutty dog, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you, don't be shocked if by Saturday that's at 22 and a half. If that goes worse for you. We'll come back to that here in just a minute because I do want to talk a little bit more about that. But
Hey, shout out to Mike. I'm doing my job, yo.
we're going to come to that too. Item number 1. Major League Baseball playoffs underway. Actually had all 4 series in action yesterday. We opened it up with the Detroit Tigers, a 3-0 win over the Cleveland Guardians. Detroit Rock City now holds on to a 2-1 lead over the Cleveland Guardians in this one. Detroit last night rolled out Keter Montero as their starter. He went just 1 inning, no hits, no runs, no Ks, no strikeouts. Got 3 off the base pass. They then turned around and went to Brant Herter, 3.1 innings, 5 hits, 1 K, 1 walk, but no runs allowed. And then 4 more pitchers would come out from anywhere from 1 batter to 2 innings. And none of them gave up a run at all. In fact, as a whole, they gave up only 6 hits to Detroit. Here's the interesting thing. Cleveland only gave up 5 hits to the Tigers. None of them home runs. Didn't matter. Small ball, small quantity baseball out of the Tigers. They now hold a 2-1 lead. Jazz Chisholm of the New York Yankees took a little heat because he said before Game 3 with the Kansas City Royals that he believed they were the better team, that the Royals got lucky. That's a direct quote to win Game number 2. They backed it up. Yankees 3-2 winners over the Royals to take a 2-1 lead in the American League Divisional Series. On that side, last night, Clark Schmidt went 4.2 for the Yankees, gave up 4 hits, and the only 2 earned runs on the night. Seth Lugo got sent out to the bump for the Royals. Their ace, 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs. The last one would be given up in the 6th inning by middle reliever Angel Zerpa for the Kansas City Royals. The Royals on the night, 6 hit. The Yankees had only 4. However, one of them was a big Giancarlo Stanton dinger in the 8th that separated these 2 teams, and the Yankees never look back. They are up 2-1 over on the National League side. The Dodgers and the Padres right now are just an old-fashioned heel v. heel rivalry, and it is a blast to watch. At least it was last night until the Dodgers got an 8-0 dominating win over the Padres yesterday. Dylan Cease went to the bump for the Padres, lasted just 1.2 innings. The strikeout king had only 1 K, gave up 4 hits and 3 earned runs before they would turn the baseball over to Brian Hoering. He came in, got through just 2 batters, surrendered a pair of earned runs in the process. The Dodgers last night had a dozen hits, including home runs from Mookie Betts, Will Smith, and Gavin Lux. And that was the difference in this one. And then the only series that has reached its conclusion, the New York Mets eliminate the Philadelphia Phillies last night. Yet more heartbreak for Philly. 4-1. The Metropolitans get the W last night. Jose Quintana went to the bump for New York, went through 5 innings, gave up just 2 hits and 1 run unearned, K'd 6 in the process. On the flip side, Ranger Suarez gave up 5 hits, but it was Hoffman and Estevez who gave up the majority of the runs last night. The OMG Mets are in an absolute heater right now and just continue to win, baby, win. They have punched their ticket to the National League Championship Series, where they will await the winner of game number 5 back in LA between the Dodgers and the Padres. The 2 American League games will go today. 6:08 first pitch for the Guardians and the Tigers. 8:08 first pitch for the Yankees and the Royals. We have game 5 of the NLDS between San Diego and LA on Friday. And then we will conclude our American League Championship Series. If we get to a game 5, that will be on Saturday, if necessary, between Detroit and Cleveland and Kansas City and New York. Let's go to item number 2. We talked about this very briefly yesterday. I'm not going to get super back deep into it today, but I do think it is an interesting story. The NCAA Division I Council has approved the termination of the National Letter of Intent program, a program that has been in place since 1964. The NLI program existed as the formal binding agreement between prospective athletes and college programs that has been in place for the past 60 years. The NLI will be replaced by a new financial aid agreement that will provide many of the same core functions as the NLI, but will likely be tied to whatever the future of the college agreements between athletes and schools looks like. They're not putting anything down onto paper yet, because those antitrust lawsuits have to determine what the new rules are going to be. And once those new rules are determined, whatever program is going to replace the National Letter of Intent program will take over at that point. We do know some of the framework. For instance, transfer athletes will be allowed to sign with the new school after they formally enter the portal. Per the NCAA, once a prospect has signed a written offer of athletic aid, other schools will immediately be prohibited from recruiting communications with those players. That is to say, once a player has signed on the dotted line out of the portal, and so therefore I would imagine the same will be true for high school recruits. Once a player has signed on the dotted line, other schools may no longer contact that athlete. I'm interested to see how much of that bleeds over into the high school recruiting game once the antitrust lawsuits are concluded. Let's go to item number 3. I told you yesterday at the end of the show that I needed you to be following the Greenville Triumphs social media last night. Massive announcement yesterday. An incredible announcement yesterday. Even if you are soccer adjacent, if you're a fringe soccer fan on the outskirts looking in, if you've been in that position for any length of time, you are very aware of the name Ronaldinho. Household name for those of you that grew up watching soccer in the 90s. Ronaldinho is a Brazilian footballer and one of the best to ever take the pitch. The man is up there in terms of both talent, accomplishments, achievements, etc. The man's up there with the Ronaldos. He's up there with the Messis. The dude is one of the best to ever put on a kit, strap up the boots, and take to the pitch. And he is now a part owner of our Greenville Triumph. The global soccer icon has joined the ownership group of the Greenville Triumph and the Greenville Liberty. The team announced that last night. Ronaldinho went to the New York Stock Exchange yesterday, and there is a dope picture of Ronaldinho along with his brother and business partners rocking the Greenville Triumph scarf and holding up the GVL jersey at the New York Stock Exchange as an official owner of the team. Ronaldinho said that one of the reasons he decided to join the ownership group is an acknowledgement of and a desire to assist in the growth of the game at the local level in the United States, which means that, as I have been telling you since I moved here nearly 5 years ago, Greenville is doing it as good, if not better, than anybody else. Greenville, when I've told this story 100 times, I'll tell it one more now because it's appropriate. When I came up here for my audition in February of 2020, I stayed in an Airbnb over on Stone Street, downtown, Stone Avenue, probably, downtown. I walked in, I walked upstairs, I dropped my bag with every intention of getting out, heading downtown. And when I did, and I walked into the kitchen of the Airbnb, right there on the fridge was a Greenville Triumph magnet. And I said, oh, what's this? And I looked that up and I went, oh, we got a professional footy team. Cool. And then I went downtown and I saw magnets and flags and a shop and everything. It was incredible. This team has done a wonderful job of growing the game in the upstate, both their own brand and soccer as a whole. And would you look at that? As I've said, I don't care if you don't like it at all. The Carolinas are soccer country. It's not just the Triumph, the Charleston Battery, the Charlotte Independence. It's Charlotte FC. It's your two-time NCAA men's soccer national champions, the Clemson Tigers. Soccer is grown in the upstate, and I credit a lot of that to the half a decade of excellence of the Greenville Triumph, and now what they have to show with it is a relationship, a partnership with one of the greatest soccer players in the history of the planet, man. Ronaldinho, now directly associated with our Greenville Triumph. That is, when I say incredible, I don't know how else you want me to describe it. Last night at the New York Stock Exchange, the closing bell rang by Ronaldinho with the Greenville Triumph logo on one side, the Greenville Liberty logo on the other, firmly established high above the NYSE. I don't know. I think that's pretty damn cool, to be honest with you. Joe Irwin, the owner of the Triumph, and Doug Irwin, the CBO of the Triumph, will join us tomorrow at 8:40 a.m. to discuss how this partnership came about, their conversation with Ronaldinho and his business partners. What a dope moment, if you will allow me to say what the kids say, for the soccer program and for the game here in the upstate of South Carolina. When we come back here in just moments from now, I asked this question.
You can only say making my way downtown that many times without me.
Oh, it's the right
this.
call. And I'm homebound.
Sorry, stream, you can't hear it.
Standing back at you. What a banger. What a banger. Now, and that, you know, we got to flow with the next part. You know why? Because I went, it's need you out of the gate.
You probably should go to Break Your Butcher in it.
And now I wonder if I could fall into the sky. Do you think time would pass us by? No, me by. No, I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you win. Thank you. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
I'm so sorry. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I got to go shake the embarrassment. friends? It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing us around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around. Would pass me by. Oh, 'cause you know I'd walk 1,000 miles if I could just see you tonight. Oh, man. Oh. Somebody texted, "Love you, Rob, but leave that singing to Terry Crews."
With over 100 online casino-style games, Chumba Casino is your go-to destination for non-stop entertainment. Play for fun and play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Rebels fans, Rebel football is back in action this Friday night as the 2-3 Bars Rebels travel to Gaffney, South Carolina to take on the 4-0 Gaffney Indians. The Rebels are coming off of 2 straight wins in region play, while the Gaffney Indians have a 1-0 region record after their win against Bowling Springs.
I don't know that it's breaking news worthy, but Rafael Nadal has announced he will retire from tennis at the end of this year.
I would like to have a brief conversation about the philosophy of the show, at least from my perspective. There are 3 entities that have control over what happens on the show. And I say this, and I mean this from the depths of my icy, icy heart. The reason that I love this place and that I love the people I work for is because I have, and I mean this, never had editorial control of the show taken away from me. Never. Not in the 4.5 years coming up on 5 I've been here. I have never been told to talk more of or talk less of. They trust us to do the show. There are 3 entities that have control over what happens on the airwaves of this program. Entity number 1 is me. Entity number 1A is Lonzo. And entity number 2 is you, the Armada. Okay? This is why I say the phone line's open, 844-326-3663. That's the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. The text line's open, 71307. Start your text with FAN, FAM. We'll read them on the air. And the Ray Memorial Hotline is open by going to the Odyssey app, going to the Fan Upstate page, clicking the microphone button, and leaving us a 60-second voice note on the Ray Memorial Hotline. There are 3 entities that control what goes on the air. You guys, Lonzo, and me. Okay? But as the philosophy of the show goes, let me tell you how I attack my 33 1/3% of what goes on the air. It is not my job to tell you how fun, special, amazing, and awesome your team is. Now, I will celebrate your team when it is time for a celebrate good times, come on moment. But it is my job, in my ever so humble, ball-knowing opinion, it is my job to talk about what's wrong. Okay? You talk about what's wrong. Why do you talk about what's wrong? Because talking about what's wrong is the only way to fix what is wrong. If all you do is dial in on what is right and what is going well, you know what happens? You get complacent. Things get stale. You stay right where you are. You can't get better if you're only talking. You can't get better if you're, Lonzo's on the phone, if you're only talking about what's good. Okay, if you're talking about what's bad, you can fix what's bad.
The fact that you heard me say you're really loud.
I really did.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
fine. I am. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
I will tell you this. You could not screen a call while you were talking.
I'm not saying I could have. To me, if I come in here, and this is listen, South Carolina fans, you're hearing from Rob Brown what it is that's gotten Rob Brown hated on Clemson message boards for years. See, because for a number of years there, Los Tigres were the cream of the crop. Yeah. They were on top. And when you're on top, people tell you how amazing and wonderful and spectacular you are. And then they came down off the mountaintop. They didn't tumble into the gutter, but they weren't where they are. And so Rob Brown jumps on the air and he goes, hey, I think this is bad, and I think this is bad, and I think this is wrong, and I think this needs to get better. Consider me a consultant. I said, these things are the bad things. And see, what happened is Clemson fans for so long were so used to having everybody talk about how amazing they were that Rob Brown shows up here on the Fan Upstate, and he says, here's what's wrong with your program. If you want to get better, fix these things. And now I go on Clemson message boards and hear about how I hate the program. I hate Dabo. Here's the fun thing. I've never said anything wrong about, or excuse me, I've never seen anything mean, rude, negative about Dabo. In fact, quite the opposite. I've said, I don't care what other people around the country think about Dabo. I only care about what he does for the program. I've said a number of times that I've interacted with Dabo a number of times since I got here, and he has never been anything but gracious to me, never been anything but kind to me. ACC Media Days, they had to cut the interview short. I only got like 6 minutes with him. And when they told me, hey, we're real sorry, we got to cut it short, and he stood up, he took off his headset, I took off mine, he reached across the table, and he said, I'm very sorry about that. You know how many coaches I've interviewed over the years? You know what they do? They stand up, they take the headsets off, they leave. They just walk away. Not him. He took a second to shake my hand and apologize that he had to cut the interview short and take off. Never said anything wrong. All I've said is, here's what's wrong with the program. Now I'm doing it to the Gamecocks. You know why? Because much like a parent to a child.
I just had a thought. I love to interrupt. I'm not going to say that I hate to interrupt. I love to interrupt. Now we know why Florida State wouldn't do interviews.
Because why? Because I have a litany of what's wrong with your team?
No. Remember, they wouldn't do interviews with any what they consider teams in the stations in the
for sure.
Clemson area.
Yeah.
But maybe that wasn't the reason.
No, I think that was the reason. They knew they were going to get busted up for
So
it.
maybe they knew
it was me.
Maybe they
me.
knew.
Hi, I'm the
No.
problem.
See, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about them. Maybe they knew how bad they were.
Oh, they absolutely.
And so they just didn't want to talk to anybody.
Maybe. What I am talking about, and Creed, I see you on the line. I'm coming to you in just a minute. Of course, I'm getting somebody named Creed on the show. When I look at the program for South Carolina,
Because of Creed Humphrey, the best center in all of football.
I was going with Creed from The Office.
Apollo Creed.
With our arms wide. Okay, that's enough of that. Let me finish this thought so we can get Creed in here before the break. When I talk about the Gamecock program, am I negative? No, I'm realistic. There's a difference. See, what happens is a lot of people who only want to deal with the positive and talk about the good things, what they can't do is get better. I'm not saying never focus on the positive. I'm saying if we only focus on the positive, you can't get better. It's already good. You can't make it better by working on the positive. To get better, you got to work on what's wrong. And I believe with the money and the resources and the commitment and the fan passion that this program has, there is no excuse for it to be a middling SEC program for as long as it has been a middling SEC program. I'm sorry. You deserve better, and you've got every capability of being better. But in order to get there, you can't still be making the same mistakes like having an undisciplined football program, a football program that has a bye week coming into a massive SEC game that would put you on the map. And I'm not saying win the damn thing, but at least show up, please. And you didn't. So the philosophy of the show for me is, I'm going to address what's wrong because that's what's got to be fixed if you want to get better. Let's find out if Creed agrees. Hanging on the phone line to talk, Shane Beamer. Creed, welcome to the show, big dog. Good to have you.
Hey, the correct answer is Apollo Creed.
Beautiful.
I was, two things. One, I'm wondering about which Carolina team will show up because Kentucky and LSU, they really look that good. They were better than LSU. They just were. They look great.
Sure.
Obviously, in Mississippi and Old Dominion, they're not nothing. I don't know. It's like Jekyll and Hyde a little bit. But the one I wanted to talk about was I wonder about sometimes with head coaches. I don't blame players for making bad decisions at all because they're in the game. They're breathing hard. It's a lot going on. Coaches that make a horrible decision, I blame more. I didn't mind the 4th and 1 fake field goal. If he makes it, he's a hero. That's not what got me. What got me was he's supposed to have an analytical guy whispering in his ear about things. They had a sack where they lost 7 yards. Gamecocks sacked them 7 yards. They took a holding to make it 1st and 20 instead of 2nd. That would baffle me. How do you have an analytics guy right beside you and you do something so blatantly dumb?
Here's my thing, Creed. I agree with you entirely. I shouldn't have a head coach who needs an analytics guy to tell you that 2nd and 17 is fine. Pass on 1st and 20 for side. I think Shane's a smart guy. We've talked to him. We've interviewed him multiple times. Good guy. I think he's a smart guy. I think he knows these things. But in that moment, I'm not mad. I'm with you. I'm not mad about the fake kicks. I wasn't mad about the fake punt in the first quarter. That's one of those that if that converts and you pick up the first down, we're all talking about what a genius he is and how Beamer Ball is going to save the program, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
I'm not upset about that. I am upset about a team that is continuing to make disciplinary mistakes on this side of it, and I am upset about some of the other decisions. And it's not just the holding call that should have been 2nd and 17 instead of 1st and 20, yada yada yada. It's also the fact that it's very clear 3.5 quarters deep that the run game can't get going against Ole Miss, but you've got a quarterback who is versatile, roll the pocket left and right, uncork him a little bit, and it's like they just kept running the ball, Creek, because fine, whatever. It's the same running plays over and over. Like you're running the same thing that they are kicking your ass. What are we doing?
Yeah, and that's true too. Once again, I don't know. It's not the same team that played Kentucky because the team that played Kentucky was really – and same way with LSU. It's not the same team. I agree a lot of it is a mistake. Don't get me wrong, but it was some mindset or something. If the team shows up against Alabama, they will dogfight them. This last team, they'll lose by 38.
Yep, I agree. And again, and I'll tell you this, Creed, appreciate the phone call, man. Great to have you. Hope to hear from you more often, pal. Welcome to the Armada. I will tell you this. I can say the same thing about Alabama. If the Alabama that showed up against Georgia shows up against South Carolina, they'll beat the South Carolina that showed up against LSU by 20 points. If the Alabama that showed up against Georgia shows up against the Alabama that played Ole Miss, you're losing by 45. If the Alabama that played Vandy shows up against the South Carolina that showed up against Kentucky and LSU, maybe we got a shot at a ball game there. Maybe. Here's what I know. Win, lose, draw. I just want to see a team that's disciplined. You're already outgunned. Outgunned, outmanned, outnumbered, outplanned. That's Hamilton, because I'm cultured. The only way you can win in that spot, we're going straight up George Washington from Hamilton, is you must be remarkably disciplined and you must cause chaos with the game plan. That's how you win. That's how you win. If you don't have those two things together on Saturday, I'm out for the season. We'll talk more about it coming up on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Give me 30 seconds, guys. I got to make a phone call. Be right back. I've never been as inspired to get back in the gym as I am on Tank Top Thursday. Like I'm sitting here like, all right, I got some gains, but like I gotta get my fat behind in the gym again. I'm just gonna do arm days every day. Just every day's arm day from now on.
Why don't you just get you some dumbbells, put them over there in the corner?
You know what I brought today? I brought a cord. I'm totally that guy now. I brought what do they call them? A workout.
Yeah. Someone down the hall does that all the time.
Oh, I've been doing it like every third break. I go in there, rip out 20.
You've never walked to his office and seen him in there doing
Who? I don't even know who you're talking about. The one person in this building upstairs who works out?
He's older than both of us.
Okay. All right. I know exactly who it is then. I take it back.
That could be a lot of people.
I mean, you said both of us, so no, it can't.
You're right. You're right.
The award-winning Rob Brown Show continues on the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the great one, Alonzo, with you. Texter writes the show, says, Rob, big Clemson fan here, and I've been listening to the show for all 4 years. I've got no issue with constructive criticism towards Clemson. The best part about this show is that it has no structure. I mean that in a good way. You have topics, but allow those topics to grow into random conversations. Yeah. Another texter says, Rob, what's the biggest roadblock preventing South Carolina from being consistently good? We've seen what they're capable of, yet they can look like they've never played football before. That is my complaint right now. The entire South Carolina program, to me, feels like a South Carolina program that is consistently taking 2 steps forward and then 2 steps back.
One bad game, dude. I mean, if you want to go back to last year, yes. But if we're just talking about this year, one game, they took a step back. All the other ones, they were moving forward, even when a backup quarterback was in there. I just, one bad game. And until they have 2 bad games, I'm going to say one bad game.
So again, and
you got me doing this, and I hate that.
I see that. That's the most animated you've been in 3.5 years. You
should have seen me on that other show.
We disagree on the Old Dominion game. We don't have to rehash the argument because we're just never going to find common ground there, and that's fine. But it's a couple of bad games. Again, ODU was week 1. All right. It was week 1 with a brand new starting quarterback. I didn't expect greatness in week 1. All right. I just didn't. Even against a mid-tier Old Dominion team, I didn't expect greatness. And it's not that they lost the game. That's how they lost the game. I've said that a bunch of times. The constructive criticism, and I am going to say constructive criticism because I do think it is constructive criticism. Because again, me saying I think that Bama's going to hammer the Gamecocks is not negative. All right? It's just not. Again, some of you don't care about this, and that's okay. There is not a group of people who give a damn less about your team than the people in Las Vegas, Nevada, who set the totals on the books. They care about one thing, nailing that number. That's it. They don't care about South Carolina. They don't care about Alabama or Ohio State or Texas or Old Dominion or anybody else. They care about getting that number right. So when I said, I think Alabama's winning this game by 20 or better, and then we go look at the number, and the number's 21.5, all it tells me is I'm spot on. I'm spot on. And it's not that South Carolina's bad, because as that texter has pointed out, as Creed pointed out, as I have pointed out, as Lonzo has pointed out, as we've all pointed out so far this morning, this team against Kentucky looked like a wagon. This team against LSU looked like a wagon and should have won that football game. This team should have 1 loss right now. But we're talking about a 2-loss team. And even then, you could go, wait a minute, why are we so down on a 2-loss football team right now? There's 2 losses. Why are we so down on a 2-loss football team? I'm down on a 2-loss football team because of loss number 2.
In this case, it's you.
I mean, it's more than just me. It's Vegas too. And again, it is not possible to be more neutral than Las Vegas, Nevada, than the sports bookers. It's not more possible to be more neutral between any 2 teams anywhere at any time than Vegas is. So it ain't just me, it's Las Vegas too. So why am I saying I think this game gets out of hand on Saturday? Partially because the Alabama loss to Vandy is an anomaly. It's an anomaly. It is the outlier of the outliers. There's results, there's outliers, and then there's App State, Michigan, and Vandy, Alabama. There's a reason we will be talking about that win for 100 years. That is the greatest win in the history of Vanderbilt football. We will be talking about it for a century. Why? Because it's the outlier of outliers. That's why. No other reason. This Alabama team is still very good. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're not as good as I thought that they were. Maybe I was wrong. I picked this team to be a national. In fact, my national championship this year was Alabama versus Oregon. And I'm not off that bandwagon yet. We're going to find out what the Ducks are made of when they host Ohio State this weekend. And we got to talk about that game because that's a big one. I'm still in on Alabama, Oregon as my natty prediction because I'm not wrong yet. Although that Vandy loss kind of threw it into turmoil, just like a loss to Ohio State would do the same for Oregon. But the reason I'm concerned is this Bama team's still really good, and now they're really good and ticked off. Do they have some of the same problems as South Carolina? You're gosh darn right they do. It is not the disciplined team that it was when Nick Saban was there. I've never said that it would be. What I've said is the talent is still very there. They've got a head coach that while the philosophy is completely counter to Nick Saban, the track record of success, I mean, it ain't the same as Nick Saban. Obviously, that guy's the GOAT. I would argue if we were having the conversation about GOATs, Nick Saban is the illustration of what it means to be the GOAT. I mean, the illustration of it. It's like him, Wooten, Lombardi. I don't even think Lombardi's the GOAT anymore.
You're just going with that because his name's on a trophy. But at a time, no, I agree. If you're going to say greatest of all time so far,
Saban
for sure.
I would even go so far as to argue with you. With Saban, I don't think we'll ever see another one.
We might not.
I don't think we'll ever see another one.
Let me say this. I won't.
God, dude.
You might.
God.
Well, I mean, how long was he coaching?
It is my job to be shockingly morbid, not yours.
How long was he coaching?
A very long time.
He has like 30, 40 years, something like that.
A very long time.
I mean, let's be real here.
Jeez.
If I do make it that long, I'm not going to have any idea what football is, probably. So, I mean,
we will probably never see another Saban. Lonzo's never going to see another Saban, according to Lonzo. Golly. The point here is, yes. Kalen DeBoer's philosophy and approach to football is inherently counter to Nick Saban's. But as we had the conversation about last week, remember last week we had the talk where Baker Mayfield said, they brought me here. They brought me here to be the guy that brings joy and a spark of fun to this game. And Brady took that real personally on the color, right? He's like, oh, if I wanted to have fun, I'd go to Disney World with my kids. This isn't a daycare. Yeah, well, realistically, any philosophy can be a successful philosophy if you execute and are disciplined. You can have the most fun, happy, joy dance in the locker room with the funny shades coach in the history of football. If he's got a good game plan and good discipline and his team believes in him and is disciplined, they can win. Or you can have the most military drill instructor, R. Lee Ermey impersonator coach in the world. If his team believes in him and his team is disciplined, that can win. Different strokes for different folks. There is in nothing you talk about, there is no philosophy that's better than the other philosophy, provided those philosophies are both believed in and disciplined. The problem I have with South Carolina is that Shane's been here for 3.5 seasons now, and it's still a program that at least in spurts shows a lack of discipline and a lack of game plan. To me, the criticisms about Shane being unwilling to make the tough decisions surrounding his coordinators and the people who put the game plan together, they are now justified criticisms. I've defended them, but they are now justifiable criticisms. And if that's where you are after 3.5 years, that is a different reality than a coach who's been there for half of a preseason and 5 games. If this was Shane's first year, I'd be rushing to his defense and going, hey, man, these guys on the roster ain't his guys. This is why we always used to say a coach gets 3 seasons to prove himself. 2 to fill up the program with his recruits and 1 to prove that the philosophy has taken and worked. With a few exceptions. Deion Sanders at Colorado, he didn't get 3 years. Why? Because he came in and he cleared out the old roster and he made the roster his from the rip. That's on Deion from year number 1. Granted, year 2 looks a hell of a lot better than year 1 did.
Yeah, because you haven't been talking about them.
I ain't said a word about them in a hot minute.
That means they're doing okay.
In a hot minute. Remember, I took them, what did I take them? I think I took them at under 4.5 wins this year. And they're at what? They're at 3 already? Or are they at 4 already? I don't remember. They're 4 already. They're 4-1. They are 1 win away from surpassing their over. Now, in fairness, They got Kansas State. That's a top 25 team. Arizona is a borderline. Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. Competition gets a lot tougher for Deion on the way up. But the point is, Deion, because he filled up his locker room with his guys from the rip. He brought his luggage, and it's Louis, baby. Deion didn't get the grace period. Shane did. Shane had to come in and not just clean out the Muschamp guys, but he had to come in and clean out the Muschamp guys and all of the negativity that was in that locker and that was in that program left over from that. So I gave him not just leniency, but like a few years. And this is not me, just so we're clear, this isn't me calling for the man's job. Not at all is this me calling for the man's job. Quite the opposite. I think the folks who were calling for a midseason firing of Shane Beamer are very, very overreactionary. And as one great American philosopher might say, relax. Well, it ain't that bad. What I am saying is that Ole Miss loss took wind out of the sails, not because they lost. And let's, for the sake of the conversation, Lonzo's right. They had a bad game. There's a difference between you had a bad game because your players played poorly, which happens to every football team, and you had a bad game because you were undisciplined and because your game plan sucked. And that's what happened in this game to me. You were undisciplined and your game plan sucked. And if that's what happens, that is 100% on the coaching. Texture said, Rob, with portal turnover, a coach rarely has his guys like they used to. Discipline will invariably suffer. Again, and we're going to talk about this coming up in a few minutes in the audio blitz, because Dave Clawson, the head coach at Wake Forest, Clemson's opponent this week, Dave Clawson defended Dabo Swinney and his usage or lack thereof of the transfer portal. And I got to tell you, I think the attitude about the portal is shifting amongst coaches right now. I really think usage of the portal is about to decrease dramatically. I think a lot of people, remember what I said, there's two extremes. There's Dabo on this end and there's Norvell on the other end. And the best way to use the portal is likely somewhere between Dabo on this end and Norvell on this end. But I think the balance of where that should be is shifting back towards the Dabo end.
You can't go anywhere if you don't have anywhere to go. So
for sure,
if they stop accepting so many portal players, then not as many people will go in the portal.
Just like players have the right to, the ability to, the opportunity to utilize the portal, schools have the right to and the ability to utilize or not use the portal as well. So if you think that the major disciplinary issues at South Carolina are because there's so many portal guys in there, then do me a favor. Stop using it. Stop using it. Recruit your homegrown talent, build guys in the locker room that you drill discipline into, and you instill that constant performance and behavior into.
You do notice that narrative about Dabo has stopped. People have shut up because suddenly Clemson is playing a little bit like what they used to, and now no one's saying it anymore.
Yep.
And that was national, and it was everywhere, how Dabo needs to get with the program and all. Now they're not saying a word.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on. And in fact, I would go one step further, Alonzo. Not only are you spot on, in fact, I'd say the opposite. I think people are starting to go anti-portal. Why? Mike Norvell, the Knowles, and a lot of other transfer teams that are just not good this year. So, again, if you think that the problem for Shano and the Gamecocks is that they got a bunch of guys out of the portal, which, I mean, they got an average number of guys out of the portal, but if you think that is the problem, then I would encourage you to encourage Shane to stop using the portal and just build within like Dabo's doing. We'll find out. Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News joins us next. Rashad Beard at 8:40. Hayden As Mario at 9. Fight Club at 9:20. Sports Flash now.
That was awesome. That was a great transition.
I'm good at this.
The New Orleans Saints will start former South Carolina Gamecock Spencer Rattler this Sunday when they take on Tampa Bay. After an MRI confirmed quarterback Derek Carr suffered an oblique injury, Rattler, who was drafted in the 5th round by the Saints, makes his debut after beating out Jake Haener. The Las Vegas Raiders are making a quarterback change, benching Week 1 starter Gardner Minshew in favor of Aiden O'Connell. Yeah, Aiden O'Connell, who started a number of games last year. Minshew has been benched twice so far this season, including in the loss to the Carolina Panthers. which are busting out the black helmets. They look really sweet. They really do. Tune in this Friday at 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels head to Gaffney to take on the Indians. It's Burns versus Gaffney right here on your home for Burns Rebels football. Exclusively, it is the Fan Upstate. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to catch on, Donovan, but you never know, dude. When you can hear Rob through the soundproof panels and the door, then you know he's talking to Chris. They can hit DBs that would rival just about any of your Loud family members. Don't take either one of them on a stealth mission. Will not go well for you.
Hang on.
Told you. By the way, told you.
Hang on. We're having an in-house conversation. Chris is here, everybody. Be right back. And away we
I'm
go.
not buying a tank top just
Oh.
because you've declared it's tank top day. Okay. I don't look good in them, and they cost way too much for that little material, and I'm not doing it. Unless you can get management to decree that I must do it like khaki day, and then maybe I will.
I think not only we should have tank top Thursday, khakis Friday.
Doesn't sound good. Doesn't roll off there is no day where khaki sounds good on it.
Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Radio Show, or what is unofficially today turned into Gamecock Thursday on the show. It's just been all South Carolina all day. Why not continue the conversation by heading right down the road to Columbia, South Carolina, and welcome in our next guest. She covers the Gamecocks for the Greenville News. She is phenomenal. She is Lulu Kesson, joining us here on the show. Good morning, young lady. How we doing?
Good morning. Happy Thursday. I am good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm fantastic. I'm spectacular. Lulu, we've been talking Gamecocks all day, and I'm gonna throw a switch here. I was gonna ask you about what I've been saying about South Carolina this morning, and get your thoughts. Instead, I'm gonna let Lonzo tell you what he thinks I've been saying about the Gamecocks, and then we're gonna see where you fall on that scale, because he accuses me of massaging the language to make myself look better. So I'm going to let Lonzo tell you what I've been saying and then get your reaction to it.
Sorry you got to be in the middle of this, Lulu, but the fact that he thinks he's throwing me under a bus, but he's not, because
I'm giving you the opportunity to make it where I'm not making you look like the bad guy here.
Not to sound a certain way, but my picture is on the side of the building
It
too.
is.
So, there's that. Rob was asked by a fan. What was the exact question the fan asked you?
I was asked by a fan last night I'm going to quote him directly. Can my Gamecocks fix it? End quote.
And Rob's answer was no.
That is not what my answer was. Now you're being disingenuous. My answer, Lulu Kesson, was yes. But you should find something better to do this weekend than watch the football game.
He told a fan to not watch the game this Saturday, and I think that's a disservice to the fan because you're saying that the Gamecocks have no chance at all.
Correct.
And that's ridiculous.
Correct.
And I'm sure Lulu's going to be on my side and not on yours.
I definitely think you should watch the game this weekend. Do I think Alabama is going to come out a different beast than normal after losing to Vanderbilt? 100%. But I think this game is way more about South Carolina fixing their own mistakes than necessarily looking to upset Alabama.
So let's talk about those mistakes. Let me tell you what I've said all morning long that they are. Because this is a team against Kentucky that went out there, executed good game plan, varied up the offense, did the same thing against LSU. Most of us feel like they should have won that LSU game, like that LSU game was jobbed away from them, Lulu. My disappointment in the Ole Miss game is that the team looked undisciplined. It looked like the game plan was either A, bad, or B, they weren't going to do. This is what we're going to do, whether it works or it doesn't. And it didn't. It just looked like a football team that spent the first 4 games of the season taking a huge step forward and then in one game gave all that ground back. Am I being too negative here?
No, I mean, offensive coordinator Dowell Loggins told media yesterday it's the first time he feels like the team took a step back. Like, he is always the first to talk about Lenora Sellers' age and the youth of the wide receivers, and he'll give credit where credit's due, but at the same time he'll really bring up the fact that youth is a huge factor. And so he's been really harping on just improving each game, each week, and it truly looks like they took a step back against Ole Miss. And I think that was especially disappointing coming out of the bye week. A lot of people were like, you had an entire extra week and this is what you draw up. This is what you come out with. And I 1,000% agree with that mentality. From an athlete's perspective, did I expect that South Carolina was going to come out like red hot from the first drive of the game? Honestly, no, because you have that week off and you're kind of like lethargic and you're getting back into it. But did I expect them to come out the way that they did? Absolutely not. I thought it was just a poor offensive showing and lacked a lot of assertiveness and explosiveness.
Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. So if it's discipline, which I felt like there was a lack thereof, and I know we've all kind of hung on the Dylan Stewart incident, which I don't think is unfair, right? Like the NCAA has made it very clear that the brandishing a weapon thing is a point of emphasis. I understand he's young. He's made a mistake. And I heard Shane in his press conference say, well, the social media angels who have never done anything wrong. I think the point is, and this is something I am going to say, I kind of came after Shane a little bit for yesterday. I don't think the complaints are, we want Dylan Stewart kicked off the team. I think the complaint is when you are 5 games deep in the season, when you are in a game that is an opportunity to make a statement, and I think that Ole Miss game was, and you are making that dumb of a decision, that's the lack of discipline. I think that is what the biggest complaint is so far. Do you think that was a bigger issue, or do you think just a lack of execution on the field was a bigger issue, or maybe some mix of the two?
I think a mix of the two, and I think the lack of discipline is a huge issue that I've been looking at sort of all week. I think the whole Dylan Stewart situation is super layered, and I think that a lot of what Shane was directly addressing, there were some disgusting things said online and even on comments on my story just about Dylan Stewart, and I think Shane was right to really hone in on that. That being said, you can't help but kind of say it might have been a deflection for him to narrow in on one play when honestly there were a lot of penalties that proved his team looked undisciplined. And I think that goes to coaching. I think it also begs the question of can you teach discipline in October? Is it something which is what I've been talking to other coaches this week about, and sort of trying to get a coaching and a player perspective. Shane told us he's been a part of many different teams that have taken a bunch of different approaches to fixing penalties, whether, in terms of punishment, but it's kind of why is this continuously happening? I mean, I think they had 8 penalties against Akron. This isn't just we lose the game because of penalties. It just is, it's so clearly a major problem that I think is just, they can't execute if their drives are being killed by momentum because of penalties. It all works together, and why they haven't figured that out. I don't know. And I know that they're talking about it, but it's seemingly, in my opinion, the biggest problem right now, because I think it goes hand in hand with execution. How can you get your redshirt freshman to be confident in producing if he's getting sacked every play, which doesn't have to necessarily do with penalties, but with these pre-snap penalties and these defensive it's just a nightmare in terms of gelling and momentum and everything that you want if you're going to produce on offense.
Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. She joins us every Thursday at 8 a.m. to talk Gamecock athletics. Lulu, I'm going to ask you to shift from reporter to editorialist here for just a minute. When it comes to the discipline and all that, we've talked earlier in the show about the fact that Alabama's loss to Vanderbilt this weekend, to me, was caused by a lot of the same problems. It was a lack of discipline in big spots. It was the lack of execution of what was already a not great game plan. I think they overlooked Vandy, and it came back to bite them a little bit. And then Lonzo said, well, why aren't you beating the drum on Bama like you are on Vandy? And my response, Lulu Kesson, was because Kalen DeBoer has been there for a half of an offseason and 5 games. Shane's 3.5 seasons deep at this point. If you don't have discipline instilled in your program and your team after 3.5 years, it's a hell of a lot different than after a half an off season and 5 games. Do you think that this is something that is a primary concern of Gamecock fans? Or, as Lonzo has said, should we write this off as a one-off game and give them the opportunity to come out and look more like the Kentucky-South Carolina team than the Ole Miss-South Carolina team?
I definitely think that overall it's a culture of discipline that you sort of have to create. And I don't think that South Carolina should be excused in any way. And I don't think that I think the Ole Miss game was just it on the biggest stage, like against the best team. And I think probably even the Kentucky game, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think the Kentucky game, they probably were called for penalties, but did enough on offense to get through it. Like, I think that this is a pattern that every South Carolina football fan has a right to worry about.
All right, let's turn our attention ahead, Lulu. You got a trip to Tuscaloosa, Alabama coming up this weekend. And unfortunately for the Gamecocks, it's against an Alabama team that I got to imagine is going to be mad as a hornet after being, frankly, embarrassed. We talked about this earlier. I think Vandy over Bama is going to be put into that echelon of Appalachian State, Michigan in terms of the greatest upsets in our lifetime overall. College football teams inside the top 25 that are upset cover the spread the next week at like a 75% clip. It's a ridiculous number of rebound games. And it's not just that they were upset, it's how they were upset and who upset them. I think South Carolina, to me, this isn't a game I'm concerned about points. You're a 21.5 point underdog, a full 3 touchdown dog in this one. To me, this is a go out there, keep the penalties to a minimum. Don't allow Alabama to get in your head. Don't allow Alabama to change the way that you attack the game. I hate to say it, I don't care about the score of this game. I don't care if you lose by 42 because you're up against a juggernaut that is furious right now, Lulu Kesson. I just want to see that up against the team that's got a little extra juice, a little extra oomph. You're able to go out there and execute your game plan. What are your expectations? What do you want to see out of the team this weekend on the road in Tuscaloosa?
100%. I agree with that. I think this is a game where Lenora Sellers has to see himself succeed. Like, I think it's a confidence game. Like, he admitted, like, he was like, yeah, I just like missed my receivers last week. Like, he had some trouble. That being said, definitely not ready to give up on Lenoris like some people seemingly are on Twitter. But regardless, I think this is a game where Lenoris just has to gain confidence. The injuries, he's getting sacked, he's playing, he's not playing. Like, it hasn't been an easy start to the season for him. And I think he needs to get back to that assertive level of play that everyone saw in the first half against LSU and most of the game against Kentucky, because he's shown his capabilities. It's just about being consistent again. And I think that starts with a game like Alabama, where you're not necessarily holding the weight of an upset win like they might have been, or he might have felt against LSU or maybe Ole Miss. But regardless, I think it's how can the defense play a clean game? How can the defense defend? I mean, the secondary, like, they're going to have a lot of trouble with Ryan Williams. It's going to come down to, can they defend him or even potentially defend him without constant pass interference calls? So exactly like you said, I think this is really a game for South Carolina to build confidence. And I know people will probably be like, there's no such thing as like a moral victory, but you got to be realistic. And the only way South Carolina is going to improve is if they get the most out of this game. And right now that doesn't seem like it's a win. It's improving their offense, their offensive production, and playing a clean game on defense.
Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News. We talked a little bit about Lenora Sellers earlier this week. I'm with you. I've seen the tweets. I've seen the Instagram stories, the people ready to walk away from this young man, which I agree. I think, frankly, it's just a silly opinion to have. I think we've seen the flashes out of Lenora Sellers that shows you it's in there. But I also think we got to remember this kid is starting game number 6 of his career at this point. Like, maybe take just a breather. But you are rolling him out there against a very good, very fast, very hard-hitting Alabama defense. What does the offense do differently this week to try to get the Lenora Sellers train rolling a little bit?
I think, a weird thing is that Vanderbilt's kind of like quarterback mobility really helped last week. So that also adds a layer. Like Shane said to us earlier this week, he doubts Alabama's going to come out and do the same thing. So it's sort of like, okay, can Lenoris have a strong enough offensive line where he can make downfield throws? Because I think that Alabama might potentially see him as a run-first quarterback based on Ole Miss and based on last week. So I think he might be almost challenged to use his arm and sit in the pocket if his offensive line can hold up and protect him. So I think it all goes together. I think the wide receivers, if they're better perimeter blocking, trying to get the run game going, and then also if they're working a little bit harder than they did against Ole Miss to get open, I think Lenoris shows his dynamic abilities, but I think it's going to be a little tricky if South Carolina just has Lenoris scrambling on every play and he's either throwing it out of bounds or running to the sideline. Like, you're not really going to be able to produce in that regard. So I think succeeding on third down, which South Carolina's only done 21 of 70 times this year, will be huge because that all builds momentum and confidence. And the only way he's going to do anything well is if he does something different than Ole Miss, and that's definitely throw the ball more.
All right, last one, Lulu Kesson, then we'll let you go. I said Alonzo earlier, and I'm sorry to say it because I want to be bullish. I want to be optimistic, but to me, there's no universe where the Gamecocks can win this game, and it's more the context away from the football field than the strategy and the players that are on it. But for the sake of ending the conversation, as we always do, South Carolina wins on the road at Tuscaloosa if blank.
If South Carolina plays like they want to upset Alabama, I think South Carolina has witnessed teams in the SEC upset teams week after week, and I wonder why South Carolina plays as though they can. And I think for once, if South Carolina uses their momentum and their strength and their power and doesn't use that to draw penalties, I think South Carolina could win this game. And I think that's going to be a huge factor for sure. I think maturity is going to matter more than anything else, which I know doesn't directly answer that question. But like you said, it's a unique week.
Discipline. Lulu Kesson joins the show every Thursday at 8 a.m. to talk Gamecock athletics. Lulu, you are the best. Thank you as always. We'll talk to you next week. Have a enjoyable weekend as is possible.
Thank you. Yeah, I will. And if everyone wants to learn about Demetrius Knight Jr., you can read my feature on him this morning. I can promise you won't be disappointed. But yes, talk to you next week. Thank you for having me as always.
Anytime. You can follow Lulu on the X at Lulu Kesson, Kessin. If you're going to commit to Tank Top Thursday, someone in sales should get you a trainer and spray tan endorsement.
Oh, hey, listen, we can do the spray. We don't need an endorsement for spray. I'll spray tan you.
Oh, no, thank you.
No, they make the can stuff. I'll just bring it in. We'll go one arm at a time, and people can judge.
I could just go outside. You know?
Come on.
I could just go outside.
When are you gonna have time to do that?
I don't know.
Well,
maybe instead of going home and doing the dishes and vacuuming, I'll go outside and get a tan. How we feel about that? It's person on the stream who shall remain unnamed, but has a very lovely last name.
It's practically winter outside. I mean, you're not going to go outside.
It was real nice this morning. It was very football-y outside this morning. All right. We got to take a break.
It's hockey weather for you. So you're not going to go outside.
It is hockey weather. You know why it's hockey weather? Because it's hockey season, baby. The NHL is back. The Greenville Swamp Rabbits are back. It's hockey season, my dudes. All right, let's take a break, mainly because after this comment from someone that I'm very close to, I need to go de-stress for a second. All right? Me and my pale arms and droopy ass. Lonzo and Rob, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. Rashad Beard joins us in 20 minutes here on the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, quick live reading. I'll come right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, guys, we're back. Thanks for hanging in there. Appreciate y'all, as always.
You made me laugh out loud.
Why,
That's not an easy thing to do.
Why? You're supposed to be loving and supportive of me.
Listen, she is. That you're the one who say that's what you want to be. That's what the show wants to be. So you've at least achieved great value level. Now you need to strive and go whatever the next step is. What's above great value? A lower name.
Yes,
brand?
dollar store Pat McAfee is what I was just referred to as.
Dollar stores are everywhere, man. Just saying. Every corner there's a dollar store. See, I was positive there.
Thanks. Just surrounded by positivity today. I feel the love and support flowing from all of my most important relationships.
We're trying to make you better and show you what a good outlook on life is, and not this negative. It's the sunglasses, man. You put those things on, and you are a different person.
I was just referred to as a great value Pat McAfee by my wife. So cool.
She knows your hopes, your dreams, and you've said it many times on the air that's the show you want to be. So you're one step closer to that.
No, what I said was I was that show first.
Were you? I don't know
Yes.
that you were. I mean,
sans the tank tops.
Is he older than you, or are you older than him?
No, I'm older than him.
Yeah, but you were out of stuff for a while.
Have been.
I mean, you know.
I've been in this game 17 years doing this show.
You decided to be a banker for a while. You've told us that many times. So.
I made the mistake that Pat didn't. By the way, big fan of the Pat McAfee show. So that we're clear, I'm a fan. All right, I'm a defender. I'm a fan.
Yeah, we almost had him on the show once.
Yeah,
it was. Awesome.
I just want to be very clear about this. I made one premier mistake in my life, and that's not starting my career with NFL money. All right. And I'll tell you, the day I became a fan was the day that he said to Triple H, when I got my first contract, one of the first things I bought was a wrestling ring that I then set up in the barn at my house just because I wanted to do it for fun. I'm like, yeah.
So
I get it.
It's not just that, but he also paid his dues. He went through Barstool and learned how to do things that way, and then came out on the other side and is doing it. This should be who you strive to be to a degree. And not try to compare yourself to.
All I needed to do was learn how to kick a damn football, and we'd be there already. All right, we'd be national right now.
I don't know if you have. I don't know if you have kicker frame. You're a little too tall.
I don't know, man. I feel like there's been some tall kickers, right? Tallest NFL kickers. Neil O'Donoghue, the legendary Russell Exelbrand. Was 6'4".
Yeah, like anyone knows who that is.
Oh, he's a New Orleans Saints legend.
Okay.
Ryan Suckup, 6'2". The great Dane Morton Anderson, 6'2". Graham Gano, 6'2". Tom Dempsey,
last I checked,
6'2".
Last I checked, you're taller than them.
Neil Racker, 6'1". Sebastian, the Polish powder keg. Kent Janikowski, 6'1". Justin Tucker, 6'1". He's done all right for
taller
himself.
Than all those guys.
I mean, yeah, like a couple of inches.
Still, you're taller.
Let's see, who are the shortest NFL kickers? Both Grammaticas.
It's got to be the Grammaticas, yeah.
Gotta be the Grammaticas. Let's see. Randy Bullock, 5'9". Matt Prater, 5'10". Jason Elam, 5'11".
And all those guys are taller than Bryce Young.
Oh, hey! We need to talk about this, both because Texter asked me to and because I want to. We got to talk for just a brief second about my New Orleans Saints. But maybe not anymore, because this Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Rat Daddy. Dennis Allen making the announcement yesterday that former South Carolina Gamecock and 5th round pick of our New Orleans Saints, Spencer Rattler, getting the nod over Jake Haener as QB1.
That's
NFL.
Rattler.
You're on notice, baby. We are so back. Rat Daddy about to light the league on fire. Jaden Daniels, who?
Man, I hope that doesn't catch on. It's not very flattering.
If he balls out this week,
being a Rat Daddy.
If he balls out week, it's just rat. I may the speaking of the wife, the loving, supportive one that she is.
Oh, without a doubt, from all
Without
the
a doubt.
comments. Yeah. For
Loving,
sure.
supportive as she is. She did ask me, she said, I will wear a Saints jersey. Can I get a Spencer Rattler jersey? I said, you're damn right you can get a Spencer Rattler
It's a
jersey.
Rattler. Yeah,
Okay,
let's
you're
get it
damn right you can. But I'm going to tell you right now, he comes out this weekend. He beats Tampa Bay this weekend. He takes down Baker and the Bucks this weekend. Not only is she getting a Spencer Rattler jersey, I'm going to get it customized to say Rat Daddy across the back.
She doesn't want that. I guarantee she doesn't want
I
something that
guarantee she'll
says
wear it.
Rat Daddy
I
on it.
guarantee she'd go, dope, love it.
It's a horrible nickname. You guys need to stop.
Rat Daddy's a great nickname. By the way, I was busting up Beamer earlier, and somebody texted the show and said, listen to Rob talking about Shane and the Gamecocks like he's not a Saints fan. Yeah, again, I know. We suck. I'm aware, all right? I get it. But that quote should say, we bleeping used to suck, because Rat Daddy is in the house, baby. QB1, he's on the way. The hopes and dreams restored for the Who Dat Nation. Because the Rat Daddy's here. It's time.
Yeah, no one's going to call him that. They're just not going to do it.
Time.
If you're going to get a nickname like that, we already would have heard it before, like a couple of days ago, whenever the texter said that. And then you decided that's yours now, and you're going to keep going with it, and it's horrible.
Texter says, and I quote, and I'm reading this verbatim word for word. Rat Daddy!
I'm going to go with James, who says I'd only refer to Master Splinter as Rat Daddy.
He's a cartoon. Spencer Rattler, not a cartoon. Real guy, real man, real legend, incoming. Saints win 90 points this weekend for the Who Dat Nation, baby.
He's a cartoon, says the guy with a cartoon tank top on.
Rat Daddy! Yes! Yes! Can't wait. Can't wait. You know what else I can't wait for? I can't wait to talk to Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast coming up in the next segment. We'll talk to Rashad about everything going on in the world of Carolina. We'll get his thoughts on the Rat Daddy. Spencer Rattler getting his nod this weekend. Texas said, Rob.
I was going to say, let's see if Rashad shakes his head as hard as I am when you do that.
Rat Daddy. You know what? Forget the wife. I might get me a Rat Daddy jersey if he tears it up this weekend. Just game one. Going all in. Texas said, Rob is right. I stopped watching the Ole Miss game at halftime, and I'm a Gamecock fan.
So you're talking about the jerseys that you wouldn't wear Monday when they were playing Kansas City? You know, those New Orleans?
You mean the game that
jerseys?
I told you exactly how it was going to go, and it went exactly
so
that way?
So you're only a fan of a team when you think they're going to win?
No, I'm just not going to wear their you-know-what if they're going to play like you-know-what. Texas said, let's start a GoFundMe to get Lonzo a tank top.
I'm not saying no. I mean, you know, actually, I've been looking up prices. It's not that expensive, but finding the right size that fits for me, that's a totally different story.
Rashad Beard coming up next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, we're going to step away just a minute, get Rashad set up. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
All right, I'm sorry you have to hear this, Rashad, but I've got to make some comments on you know, some things that are being made. I do not need a GoFundMe to buy a tank top. I am too fat to be wearing a tank top. Okay, I appreciate that you guys are willing to buy me a tank top. I've been looking into it. I don't think the host should be able to say, this is Tank Top Day, and I have to follow what he's doing, knowing that. And again, I'm going to point out again, I have a hair like a bear, and you don't want to see that kind of hair just like sticking out in weird places. You do not want that.
Out of here?
Yes. By the way, 3XL. If you guys want to, you know what, and it needs to be under a certain amount of money, or it's payola or plugola. I can't do that. So, but yeah, and no advertising. Can't be doing advertising. If you want to send me, maybe a Chiefs tank top, I'll take that. A Ohio State tank top, a Goku tank top. I'm good with that. Anything anime, definitely Nightwing. But no, don't send those to 25 Garlington Road. Do not do that. Greenville, South Carolina, 29615. Do not do that. There we go. I think I've dealt with it and handled it and put it to bed, as they said. Yeah. I do not want you to send that to that address. I do not want that. There we go.
Rashad, what's up, big dog?
What's going on, guys?
How we feeling, brother?
We're here.
Yep.
We're here.
You ready for the Spencer Rattler Rat Daddy show this weekend?
Stop it.
I mean, yeah. Have fun. Got
See,
nothing,
he shook
man.
his head. He shook his head. Rat Daddy that's his dog.
No, Rat Daddy's kind of crazy.
That's not. Come on. Who wants to be called Rat Daddy?
Bunch of haters. Rat Daddy's coming.
Rat Daddy makes it sound like you're poor, and I'm just saying that you live in a place where you might have rats, and maybe my thought process is different than yours. What can I say?
At 8:40 on Thursdays, we take a ride right up the road to Charlotte, North Carolina, and talk to the host of the Panther Nation podcast. If you are a Panther fan, if you just want to know what's going on with the Cats, there is nowhere else to go than the PNP. We want to welcome the Army in, as well as the host of that particular podcast, Rashad Beard, joins us here on the show. What's up, big fella?
What's going on, guys, man? Another week, another L, but Panther Nation is still here, man. PNP, we still here. Shout out to all my PNP Army in the building, in the chat, man. Appreciate y'all, man. We still here.
I just want to participate just one little bit, and then I'll do what I normally do and just go over there and listen to, because I don't want to take Rashad's time. Black helmets are sweet, man.
Positive,
they are.
Right?
I mean, the game may not end up, but the black helmets, those, I like those.
We're gonna look good. That's one thing that's gonna happen this week. I can't say too much about the play on the field, but our appearance is gonna look very good. So I appreciate the black helmets. It's gonna be dope.
When in doubt, have good merch. I mean, that's the rule one of professional wrestling. When in doubt, have good merch. Rashad Beard joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. It is the black helmets coming out this weekend as the Carolina Panthers try to rebound. Let's go back in time a little bit, Rashad, and talk about this game last week. We talked a lot about the Gamecocks today, and that the fact that the loss to Ole Miss was disappointing, not because of the loss, but because of the fact that it just felt like they took a step back after a couple of steps forward. Did you kind of feel the same way about the Panthers against Chicago on Sunday? Like, is it, because to me, the disappointing part was I look at the Cincinnati game. I saw execution, discipline, game plan. Didn't work out the way you wanted to, but it was a consistent game. And then on Sunday, it just kind of felt like the wheels came off a little bit.
Yeah, wheels definitely came off. This game was the first game where I thought Canales got really outcoached. When it was very apparent, right? Andy Dalton basically looked like Bryce Young out there. That was a Bryce Young led offense to me. So it didn't look good. Defensively, we're not good. No pass rush. We got some real issues on the defense side of football. We need a pass rush badly. And it's just a bad game across the board, bad game. And of course, it compounds when you lose to the team that you basically gave all your draft picks to if for Bryce Young, and Bryce Young's not playing in the game. So there was a lot of nuance in this game, a lot of things to play for. We just didn't show up. We got out coached from snap to snap. Basically, after the second drive we had, or the first drive we had, it was over from that point. And we got out coached, man.
All right, so let's go with this. There's a lot of different things we can attack. Since you brought it up, let's start with that. We talked about it a little bit last week, and it seems like the PMP Army was on board with the theory that you made the switch from BY to Andy Dalton so that Canales could show that the system can work. We just got to have a developed, polished quarterback in there at QB. And I would argue that it did, but now you're saying the very next week the coaching kind of took a step back as well. Where do you stand on that? Like, was it a bad enough performance that you got a little doubt creeping in, or was it just a, hey, first year head coach, we're going to have a couple of bad performances?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you want to be patient with Canales. I'm not, it's going to take some time. I've seen some things at Canales where I like. He does some good things, but also I question the talent level of this roster. I don't know that we have the talent across the board to execute, especially on the defensive side of the football. Offensively, I just think you have a bad game or two. I'm not going to kill him for that. So it's okay. You know what I mean? I think, the offensive line is one area where we have improved. They looked okay up until the point where Taylor Moton went down and Austin Corbett went down. After that, it got a little shaky. So there are some positives you could pick from this roster and this team, just not enough across the board. Just the talent level's not there. And just especially on the defensive side of football, we got some issues, really, really bad issues on the defensive side.
I think that's kind of been my thing coming in and the reason I'm not hitting the panic button yet, Rashad, is because you stack the injuries on top of expectations, right? Like I think that's one thing that you and I both kind of preached a little bit coming into the season was have realistic expectations so that we can get a real grade at the end of this year of whether or not we met them. I don't know what the expectations are. I know what Vegas's were. You got a win total of 5.5 over under. Yeah. Expectation wise, I think you're kind of right around the spot that we thought we were going to be. But then you stack on the litany of injuries that have been stacking up, right? You talked about Moton. You talked about Corbett. We talked about Shaq Thompson last week. When you got guys dropping like flies and they are the limited amount of talent you had on a limited talent roster, yeah, it's going to hurt a little bit. My question is, am I going to see development of the guys that you believe are the future? Am I going to see a coaching staff that is still coaching through it instead of panicking and running around with their hair on fire? And the answer to me right now is, like kinda, little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, Trevin Wallace had a decent game if you're looking for him to replace Shaq Thompson in the future. There are some guys out there developing. I mean, I know we kind of skipped over it, but Chuba Hubbard, I mean, had a great game. He's playing well. It's a contract year for him. A little frustrating that he only got 13 carries last game. He averaged 7.5 yards per carry. So that there are some positives, man. It's just not coming together as a team. And I think you just tweeted about it, and I've been talking about it and pounding the table for this guy for a long time. But it's good to see guys like Jalen Coker develop. So if you want to take some small wins, there are some small wins of development that you can say, all right, yeah, we're getting there. But overall, it's just not accounting to wins. It's not building up to wins, and that's what's most important. That's what we want to see. And in this game, we didn't even get to see that competitive competitiveness like we saw in the Bengals game. In the Bengals game, I'm okay with that kind of loss. We were in it. This game, it was gone from basically the beginning of the first half. I mean, the first quarter, it was like, all right, we're out of this thing, and it was gone from there.
We're talking to Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast here on the Rob Brown Show, and the Fan Upstate joins us every Thursday at 8:40 to talk Panther football. Let's turn our attention away from Chicago, turn it ahead to an NFC South divisional matchup this weekend. 425 kick taking on the Atlanta Falcons at the Bank. I'm intrigued. Falcons beat my Saints. Falcons took the Bucs to overtime, knocked them off. We both came, or at least I came in thinking this is probably your most likely divisional champ. But I will also say, Rashad, they haven't exactly separated themselves from the field like I thought they were going to in this division so far. It's not, I don't think, an unwinnable game. I just think you guys will have to be perfect to win this game, especially with the number of injuries you've got going down. Forget win-loss, set the expectation for this game. What do you want to see out of Carolina rocking the Black Caps?
Man, I don't know. To be honest, man, I'm not a fan of Atlanta, but I got to be a realist here. I don't think this is a winnable game for the Panthers. There's just too many injuries. The offensive line, you got Brady Christensen now starting at center. You've got Yash Nijman, who is going to be taking on right tackle. I have very low expectations for this game. I do want to continue to see some development. What really from the offensive side, I want to see them stick with the run. Right. I want to see us run the football 30 times and take it out of the hands of Andy Dalton, take it out the hands of, because we're successful. We can run the football. I want to see us truly stick to the run like Canales has been saying since the beginning of the season, which he's not done. And so I want to see us run the football more. But at the same time, listen, what we didn't talk about either in the Chicago game was the fact that we saw Bryce Young again. And I question, you put Bryce Young in the game because of the patchwork offensive line. That patchwork offensive line is going to be starting basically in this Atlanta game. So I questioned, and I know he said that Dalton is the starter, but because Dalton is not as mobile as Bryce, are we going to see Bryce again if the pressure picks up and they're not able to protect Andy Dalton? So we may see Bryce Young again. This is just questions that I have, and you kind of opened up Pandora's box when you continue to throw Bryce Young back in there, and now we got questions. So I don't expect us to win this game. I want to see JC step it up and play well. Our secondary, they're okay. I think they can hang with some of the talented wide receivers that the Atlanta Falcons have, but from the pass rush perspective, we just don't have it. I don't know, man. I just have very, very low. You asked for expectations. I have very low expectations going to this game.
There was something you said a minute ago. I'm a poker guy. I'm not good. I just like to play it. And there's something when you're sitting at a table called a tell, right? Like you pick up that a player whenever he's got a good hand, touch his ear or whatever. Lonzo has a tell that he has, and I don't know if he has it or not, but anytime somebody says something that Lonzo likes or he agrees with, he crosses his hands like this and he kind of sits back a little bit. And when you said run the ball just a second ago, he did that. You go back to BY, and Canales said, hey, we put him in there because the injuries and all that. And we also wanted to give him some time to play, whatever. I don't care if it's Young. I don't care if it's Dalton. I don't care if it's you, Rashad Beard. If you got somebody back there you're trying to protect at QB1, especially with the offensive line dinged up the way it is, I'm going to need Chuba Hubbard to get about 28 carries in this game.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying that for a while here. Again, it's not like he's getting stuff. He falls forward. I call him, if you watch during the live streams, I call him Mr. 5 yards. He's an automatic 5 yards. Anytime he touches the ball, he's not getting tackled for loss. He is running effectively. He's very good at it. And I can imagine how frustrated he is having to come off the field when I'm cooking. You know what I mean? So I want to see more Chuba Hubbard. And I agree with you, 25 plus rushes in this game, and let's dominate some field position. You know what I mean? Let's dominate time possession. Let's hold the football. Let's keep that talented Atlanta offense off the field, and that's what I hope, man. I just really want to see a competitive game. It's going to be at home. Obviously, I'm going to be there, and I want to see a W, but I just got very, very, very low expectations.
One of the PMP Army in the chat said, I'm calling this weekend Evero's last game. And then immediately responded to by another that said that I don't think you can do anything with the talent on this defense. I'm going to tell you right now, Atlanta has the capability. I haven't done it every game. They got the capable to put a 40 spot up like New Orleans did back in week 1. This is a spot where coaching's got to start to try to cover up for the injuries, to game plan away from the spots that the talent's a little thin. I know we talked about it in the Chicago game. I know you mentioned it a second ago, but defensively against Atlanta, where do you think you stand, or are you just in a world of hurt?
Yeah, I think I don't know, man. I don't know. We signed Carl Lawson, so that's cool. But, aging vet, I don't know what we have in him. There's just no pass rush, and we don't know where Clowney stands, right? We don't know if Clowney's going to play or not. And without Clowney, there was literally no – I mean, Caleb Williams last week was just – I mean, you give him a pillow and a blanket. He was back there really comfortable. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's no pass rush. Without a pass rush, you're not going to impact. The guys can't cover forever in the secondary. And that's really where Evero kind of hangs his hat is, of course, he doesn't have elite pass rushes in his defense, but your secondary has to be able to hold up for at least, 3 seconds. If they can hold for 3 seconds, you give enough time for at least a mid-tier pass rusher to get to the football, or to get to the quarterback. When your mid-tier pass rushers are not getting to the quarterback within 5 seconds, and Caleb just can just chill back there, it's just we're going to be in a world of hurt. So I don't know, man. And we can't stop the run either. So, Derrick Brown with him, that was a massive loss. So I don't know. I really have no idea. I mean, if Caleb and the Bears can put up almost 40 against us, I can see that, I can see Cousins and them doing some damage. So I have low hopes, low expectations. Go ahead. No, I was going to say with Evero, man, it's hard to. I mean, we weren't very good last year either, to be honest, statistically. But we were able to at least bend but don't break. Right? That's what we were last year. Now we're breaking. We're bending and breaking. Okay, it's not good. And so I don't know where Evero is going to go. I don't know if they're going to use him as a scapegoat. Fire him at the end of the year. But Saleh's available now, so you never know what happens. And they're good buddies with Canales, so you never know what can happen there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What this defense is tough, man.
The interesting thing, I think it's the differences between the quarterbacks last week to this week. Caleb Williams, obviously, a lot more mobile, and not necessarily a guy that's gonna beat you by breaking the defense down. Kirk Cousins, the exact opposite, much more of a statue in the pocket, but a dude that if you're an inch out of position, he's going to knock that pass down. So it's going to be real interesting to see kind of the swing from one style to the other. Rashad Beard hosts the Panther Nation podcast. You can find them on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, get to that YouTube page, get subscribed up, hit that notification because Rashad, the boys go live all the damn time. Y'all gonna do some stuff on Sunday?
I will be going to the game, so I do a pregame show with my good buddy Chris from Charlotte Vibe. So that we won't be probably do a post game after if it's depending how it goes. I don't know, man. I'm getting a little tired, to be honest with you. It's the same thing every week. We just repeat, just replay the post game from last week, and it's probably the same.
I was gonna say I checked in on the post game last week, and I was about this close to calling Rashad like a mental health care specialist there for just a second.
It's tough, man. It's a tough week in, week out. It's tough, man.
Rashad Beard, Panther Nation podcast, joins us every Thursday at 8:30. My man, appreciate you, big dog. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
You got it. Rashad Beard for the Panther Nation podcast. Lonzo with the Sports Flash.
It kind of rhymed. It did. One half of the National League Divisional Series is set. The Mets beat the Phillies last night 4-1 off the back of Francisco Lindor grand slam in the sixth inning. The Mets await the winner of Friday's Game 5 between the Dodgers and Padres. The Dodgers extended the series back to LA with a dominating 8-0 win over San Diego. On the American League side, the Tigers took a 2-1 lead over the Guardians. They're the Guardians with a 3-0 win at home, and the Yankees went up 2-1 in their series with Kansas City after a 3-2 win. Both of those series will resume today. Cleveland versus Detroit at 6:08, and the Yankees at the Royals at 8:08. Tune in this Friday at 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels head to Gaffney, take on the Indians. It's Burns versus Gaffney right here on your home for Burns Rebels football, exclusively right here on the Fan Upstate.
you guys. I'm going home.
4-3. Oh no. Oh no. I'm about to pull an Atlanta Falcons over here. Not ideal. Wait a minute. Before we get Mario in here, great one, because you'll appreciate this one, I think. Yesterday, because I am 100-year-old man, as a 100-year-old man is wont to do. I was watching some TV, watching the hurricane coverage of Milton as it approached Florida.
Well, you've got good reason. I mean, you can still have family in Florida, so
I do.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the Weather Channel. Mario will appreciate this too. I'm watching the Weather Channel, and they got a reporter down in Tampa, and this is as the eye of the storm's coming to shore. So you got that break. Yeah, it was a real small eye wall because it's a super developed storm. And the reporter on the Weather Channel said this. Hang on, I gotta change the channel over because I screwed up again because I'm bad at my job. The reporter from the Weather Channel.
I still think that should count. That's the equivalent of not turning your mic on.
No. Anyway.
Mike, we definitely enjoyed the little halftime show that Mother Nature gave us inside Milton, but now we got the second half, and I got to remind everyone that you might still be in the eye right now. There's a lot more to go. I think back to the Atlanta Falcons first half Super Bowl winner. We know what happened to the second half when the Patriots came back to life. So do not sleep on the second half of Milton, and we're definitely concerned now with this. Mike,
the Atlanta Falcons catching strays on the Weather Channel. I have never loved the Weather Channel more, Mario. Never loved them more than reporters dropping bows on the Dirty Birds in the middle of a hurricane, man.
It's called being a professional. It's called thinking on your feet. I respect that a lot. Gotta find the humor and everything. Humor heals all. So I like this guy's attitude, man. And can we, like Alonzo, we're not going to address the elephant in the room. This is 2 weeks in a row.
Tank Top Thursday's a thing now, bud.
Yeah, it's a thing. Now,
Tank Top Thursday's a thing now.
Let me ask you, Mario, because you work on many shows and do a fine job, by the way. If one of the shows you were on, they required you to wear a tank top, would you just look at them and laugh and go, I ain't wearing no tank top? Or would you wear a tank top?
I probably would do everything I can to not wear a tank top.
Yeah, so I mean, he has declared it is Tank Top Thursday.
Mario has literally worn sleeveless shirts on the air with me.
I don't think I have that.
Yeah, you did, because you ended the show going, this is my lucky sleeveless hoodie. This is my lucky shirt. I wear it because it's lucky.
That was, because it was late at night, and I think I was getting sick, and so I was like, oh my gosh, I had to change really quickly, and I kept getting hotter and hotter.
Yeah, when you get sick, nothing feels better than a sleeveless hoodie. You should know that.
It does feel really good.
Yeah,
and
it's comfortable.
I'd like to point out that this is back-to-back weeks of an NBA, not an NBA jersey, not an NBA jersey at all, of basketball jerseys from movies.
Oh, I got more. I put the for the record, same movie, but I put the Monstar jersey in earlier this week.
You should. I mean, you're pointing out the jersey, but the obvious thing is the punk glasses, because he put them on. He's been a punk all day.
I mean,
he's not denying it either.
You look good, you feel good, you play good. Welcome to it. Hey, it's Hayden Ask Mario Heron from the BetQL Network, former executive producer of Bet for the Cycle on Saturdays, noon to 4 with myself and former Major League Baseball player Cody Decker, now the executive producer of BetMGM Tonight, which you can hear on this and other fine audio stations around the nation from 7p till 11p every single weekday. Joining us to talk a little National Football League. Mario, let's dive right in. Let's start over in the NFC South since we left off talking Panthers in the last segment, but it went real bad against Chicago this past weekend for the Panthers. A week after they have a respectable showing and performance against the Bengals. And let's be clear, Carolina's had a ton of injuries. They lost Shaq Thompson. They lost Derek Brown. They lost Taylor Moton. They've lost Austin Corbett. They've got a pretty much every Pro Bowler on the team with the exception, and Adam Thielen. They've been banged up quite a bit. Was this more Carolina's real bad, or is Caleb Williams taking a step forward?
I would say it's more of Caleb Williams taking a step forward, and it was a game that Chicago, going the narrative route, it was a game like Chicago really needed not to win, but to dominate. Like if they would have went out there and beat the Carolina Panthers by 3 points, by, 4 points on Chicago radio, on, TV across America, it wouldn't be, oh, like the Bears won. It'd be the Bears barely beat the Panthers, who might have the worst record in the NFL. There's more panic in Chicago. Flu's seats gets hotter. Was Caleb Williams really the right pick at 1? Like everyone's seat gets a little bit warmer, and it would have been bad for the team, bad for the morale. It was a moment where the Bears had to make sure they told everyone, yes, we have jumped to a different level. We are, quote unquote, a playoff team. They had to do it. And like you said, I think it was a perfect Caleb Williams coming out spot. And it was, man. That was Caleb's best game by far. Threw for over 300 yards, was 20 for 29, 2 touchdowns. Every pass looked crisp. He played relaxed. He played comfortable. And it was something that team really needed. So I think it was more of the Bears just coming up in a spot going, we have to dominate to show everyone who we are, than it was the Carolina is a poorly ran team. It's just not a good team right now. They have a ton of injuries. That doesn't help them. Let's face it, that roster's not overly talented. And they're coming from a very emotional loss, I would say, against the Cincinnati Bengals. Like a letdown was coming, and it just so happened it was against Chicago in Week 5.
We're talking to Mario Herron from the BetQL Network. Speaking of rook quarterbacks, because I absolutely agree with the take on Caleb Williams, Patriots going to Drake May. This is an awful idea. It's an awful idea. You're going to throw him out there behind it, and not just an atrocious offensive line, but an atrocious and banged up offensive line for a team that's just not good anyway. Like, I get it. He's the shiny new toy. He's the hope. He's the optimism for the future. You're gonna get the kid killed, and I know why you're doing it, because he's quick. He's shockingly mobile for a North Carolina Tar Heel quarterback. All due respect, you're gonna get this kid killed. Like, of all the young quarterbacks the last couple of years, because I'm a big believer in sit the rooks, let the rooks learn, let them get up to speed. Drake May is the one I'm most concerned with.
I was for sitting him because, again, like, these O-line's terrible. They just lost their center, who's arguably their best O-lineman, so that's not great. Your weapons are weapons for a high school football team. I really don't get is going, hey, your first start, kid, is going to be against a Super Bowl contender, against a great defensive mind in the D'Amico Ryans, against a hell of a secondary, not against the Miami Dolphins, who, similar to them, does not have a lot of talent on roster right now on the defensive side, who are getting, decimated by injuries. That's a smarter start. But instead, yeah, let's go ahead and have you go against Stroud, where the pressure is more going to be on. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that instead. It just makes no sense to me. You're setting Drake May up to fail, and you're putting a lot of pressure that's already there on a kid that's going to be a starting quarterback for the New England Patriots, who still are hunting for the next Tom Brady. And no matter what you do, every game that you do, every second snap throw, third snap throw. Well, what was Tom Brady's third, throw like? You're going to get compared to that constantly. I just don't think it was smart for the Pats to do it in this game. Like, the week after that, you have the Jaguars. The Jaguars are terrible. Why not start it then? And you're going in Jacksonville. It's an away game, but, like, Jacksonville's not a hard place to play. You're not going to go there and go, oh, man, they have the 12th man out there. Like, come on. Like,
they barely got 12 man in the stands. Total.
Exactly. They don't even have a 12 man in the pool that they have in the freaking wherever it is there.
Yeah, I don't get the decision. I don't understand the decision. All right, story of the week: Robert Saleh relieved of his duties by the New York Football Jets, and now there's this big conversation going on about, Aaron Rodgers. Was he responsible for this? He said yesterday that he's disappointed that people are putting this on him, despite the fact that my dude has effectively been the GM since he showed up in New York. Just open-ended question. Where are you coming down on this whole Jets story?
It should have been a move that they made in February, and instead they made it in October, which that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And that in the Hackett, you keep him around for another year. That doesn't make sense to me. The whole situation, Rob, is just another example of how the New York Jets are so far behind on every organization and putting a competent team together. Every move they make seems like a move made too late, and I think that's just what this was. Robert Saleh getting fired was a move made too late. You're going to bring in Ulbrich, who, honestly, the defense is fantastic. The defense has never been the problem. It's been the offense. And, you've done nothing really to address it except, giving Rodgers more control and just going, well, just Rodgers can fix everything. Rodgers can fix everything. This is not 32 years old Aaron Rodgers. This is 40 years old Aaron Rodgers who can barely move. And, the arm's not what it used to be. It's a disaster. It's what happens when you give too much power to a player and let the player run rapid. That's what happens. We see it across all sports, right? The Nets give Durant way too much power. How many playoff games did they win? Did they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals? Did they win the NBA championship? They did not. Don't do that. There's a reason why you're GM. There's a reason why there's a head coach. Yes, opinions matter, and you should get everyone's opinion. But at the end of the day, you can't let someone take that much control. They let someone take that much control. Now they're in a position that they're in. I actually do think they win this weekend, by the way, against the Bills. I think there's going to be a little bit of a bump. And maybe that's Ryan Horvath screaming in my ear too much about the New York Jets. That could be it too. But I could see that happening for them. It's just this organization's a disaster. And I'm starting to jump on the hot take that I don't think they get Devontae Adams. Because why would he want to go there now? Why? Everything's worse than it is in Las Vegas. It's a terrible situation. You're not going to win.
It's bad in New York. And I for one, really, as much as I'm not a fan of Aaron Rodgers, at the same time, I don't think it's fair to just immediately throw the blame at his feet for everything that's gone wrong. But man, like, the aspects of the game that Robert Saleh was primarily in charge of, that is the defensive side of the football, it's been the only thing good about the Jets. And you're letting them go when Hackett's there. It's just optics in that Saleh and Rodgers clearly weren't good. You can say what you want, but the lack of a hug heard round the world video's probably been played a gazillion times on Twitter this week. A.
Yeah.
And B, Nathaniel Hackett's bad at his job, but he kept his when the offense is entirely the problem. I mean, I don't want to throw it all at Aaron Rodgers, but man, everything about this story says this ran through Aaron Rodgers.
Everything screams that. And I know he's saying, it doesn't, and, he had no part in it, yada, yada, yada. Brother, just look at the little pieces that we got like the past week and a half. The late night call from Woody. All right. The, fake hug heard around the world. The battle about the cadence back and forth between them through the media. And then you're saying, no, we have a great relationship. We're best friends. Dude, if I were my best friend in that capacity, you would never even hear me say that I didn't like the outfit that he chose, because I just wouldn't want to give that to the media and wouldn't want them to run with it. Like, it was just weird to me. But again, Rodgers loves the media attention. He loves the, he's an eye guy. He likes the spotlight on him. So I think he's doing everything he can to get the spotlight. And he can say how much he doesn't like the rumors. Brother, you love the rumors. You love us talking about you.
I said the same thing, and I base it on the fact that he passed on his appearance with McAfee on what was it, Tuesday or whatever, when the news broke, or the hours after the news broke, and then just rescheduled it for the next day. I'm like, I would think if there was ever a time for the whole team to kind of retreat into the locker room, group up, get on the same page, like maybe he's not, and he goes on and just as a totally normal segment.
How many days does that require? So
not
week?
Less than one.
How many? Well, obviously you have a number in your mind.
No, I don't. I just know it's more than 17 hours, right? Like, it's like not even, okay, I don't have a number in my head. You don't either. Is it more than 17 hours? Because it feels like it should be to me.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it, but I find it kind of counterintuitive. Like, we need to come together, as a locker room. We need to come together. We need to take more accountability. Okay. Why don't you do that like now? Like, why do you need to announce that?
Here, you know what? Here it is, Mario. Here's what my problem is with it. I'll say this and then I'll shut up because I do have one more important thing we have to discuss. Here's my thing. Don't on one day go, well, I don't like that it's all about me. I don't like this story focuses on me. I don't like that people are throwing me in there as the bad guy. And then 16 hours later, go on one of the most watched sports podcasts and shows in America and talk about it. Like, take the week off. Go in the locker room with the boys, get on the same page with Nathaniel Can't Hack It in the game. It just feels weird to go, I don't want this all to be about me. Hello, everyone in America. Here I am for my weekly segment.
All right. I just, you know what? If we had Aaron Rodgers on once a week and then he couldn't, you'd be all upset that he couldn't come on that week. Why is he not on here?
Listen,
we have him
wait,
scheduled.
wait,
Why
wait,
is he
wait,
not
wait,
here?
wait, wait.
But to that point though, like look at, it's not like they need Rodgers. It's not like they live and die by Rodgers. I'd say Pat McAfee has a good enough guest where they can live without him.
Correct. And B, if Mario texted me,
Hey, we don't need him either. 3 times, man, we've won the sports show of the year. I'm just going to point that out.
If Mario texted me at, let's say, 8:55 on a Thursday and said, yo, Horvat he just quit. He's gone. The whole show's, I can't come on this week. You know what my response would be? Yeah, I get it. No, for sure. That's a enormous change in your job and your life. This man's head coach didn't leave, got bounced, and then 17 hours later, after saying, I don't want this to all be about me, immediately went and made it about him.
So if our boss were to just suddenly retire, we shouldn't work for the rest of the week. I'm not going to say get fired because it ain't going to happen because he's awesome.
No,
and there's no way he could ever be fired.
But if my boss got fired on Monday and we were in the bleep, and I called Mario and went, hey, I can't do my weekly appearance on BetMGM tonight, I'm pretty sure Mario wouldn't go, oh, yeah, no, that's terrible, Rob.
Mario would go, but you're going to do your own show, right?
Yeah, yes, but Rodgers, just because
Rodgers' own show is playing football. He went on somebody else's.
And you have the week that you have right now is a pretty important week. Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills, your kind of division rival. That like this game matters and could really help you win the division this year. Like it's not like you got the Panthers this week and it's like no, you got Josh Allen.
Shots fired.
Handing out strays.
You had one more good, and you're going to end this on a positive note because that's what you've done.
Oh, no.
All week.
No, I'm not.
I mean, this entire day has been nothing but positivity from that side.
For those of you on the stream, you're about to see it. Mario, what in the hell is this? You eat your Kit Kats by just taking a bite out of the end like a psychopath?
Are you really going to? That's how you eat them.
No, it's not. Flavor. Their entire advertising campaign is about how you snap them into individual bars.
Dude,
more flavor.
Everyone's not like you.
It's the same. What do you mean?
Everyone's not like you, Rob. You get more with taking a big bite like that. I'm completely with you, Mario. I don't know what he's doing.
No.
I don't know.
Hear me out, Rob. When you take off stick by stick, you're getting minimum flavor.
Exactly.
You're getting just a little bit of it. When you go straight on and you bite, it's everything, baby. You're getting the whole shebang. When you eat a burger, you nibble on the burger. No, you try to bite to the middle so you can get
Mario. If I take 2 pieces of burger and cut them and then put them on top of each other, does it taste more like burger? No, you're just eating more of it. It's the same amount of taste. You're just psychopathically taking hunks out of this thing.
All right. I gotta stop you for a second.
This is serial killer behavior.
We have breaking news that I can't talk about. Look at your phone.
Oh God.
No, look at your phone. I hate to do this, but look at your phone. I just want to see your reaction, see if it's the same one I was having, and you just ignored me.
I don't have anything yet.
Oh, okay. You do because it was sent to me and you. Told you.
Boy.
Told you.
I don't care about Mario anymore. We got somebody else coming on. I'm kidding, Mario. No. What is this? Just
by the way, Mario, don't let him do this to you. This is ridiculous. Dude, this is awesome. This is how I eat it too.
UNC Chris just texted the show. This is another fellow Tar Heel, Mario, and he says, and I quote: "The logic on Kit Kats makes sense. However, this is Thanos level behavior." Could not agree more.
It's not.
And guess who's the only guy that defeated the Avengers? Thanos.
He did not. He literally lost the movie. That's the end of the entire Marvel arc. He lost.
Well, just because of time travel. If time travel didn't exist, he won. Yeah,
he kind of got screwed in the end.
He did.
Really Shane said it's the same amount of stick when you break that. The flavor doesn't increase by putting more of it in your mouth.
It actually does.
That's not how flavor works.
It doesn't. It does for sure.
It's more mass.
If you put a little bit of jalapeno on, then you put a whole lot of jalapeno on,
it
you're
still
saying it's
tastes like
different.
that. No, that's difference because now we're on the Scoville scale, which
Chocolate,
there's a
man.
difference.
Chocolate works that way,
there's no
too.
chocolate scale like a Scoville
Absolutely
unit scale.
there is. There
Rob,
for sure.
If I take one chicken nugget and put another chicken nugget on it and eat them both, is it more chicken nuggety?
Yeah.
No.
I think
it's
science would say.
more without a doubt.
I think
Yeah.
science and math would disagree on that one. That could have been a bad example on your part. I'll leave you with this. Some choose to lead, some choose to follow. All
And
right?
some choose to burn everything down around them.
And that would be you because I mean you're outnumbered here as usual.
By you two.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be outnumbered and it's by you two, I know I'm doing
Well,
okay.
last I checked, there's 3 of us on the show right now. That would mean you're the minority in this.
I like the commenter on Twitter who said low key keep an eye on your pets around Mario. Could not agree more.
All I'm saying is, I will say this. When I was in college, I used to have a chocolate chip waffle and 2 Kit Kats every day for breakfast my freshman year. And
Freshman 15, baby.
Dude, and I would just eat it like that walking down like the class my freshman year, and I would get insane looks. Like,
yeah, because it's insane.
Nah, I would.
That's why.
I would be like, what a great idea. I mean, nothing's more college than that.
Oh my!
It was great. It was great.
Oh my god! I have a migraine.
For 9 a.m.
It's the same.
Maybe you have a
amount
migraine because
of
you're wearing
taste.
dark sunglasses in the room. Maybe that's
Wearing a
why.
basketball jersey when it's almost winter.
We're in South Carolina. It's never winter here.
Ah, good point. God,
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. That's the first time you made a good point this
Yeah.
entire segment.
Hating ass Mario Heron from the BetQL Network. You can find him and Ryan Horvat and Brad Evans and a cast and crew of All-Stars every single weeknight right here on the Fan Upstate from 7 to 11 p.m. for BetMGM tonight. Big dog, love you like a brother. Talk to you next Thursday, pal.
Love y'all. See ya. Bite Kit Kat's hole.
Snap your Kit Kat, you psychopath. Hey, we got Fight Club with pretty big news, I'd say.
Yeah, I think we'll break it.
Ask
Why
me
not?
if I'd say it's big news.
Do you think it's big news?
Yes, boy! Tell you what it is when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Nah, world.
All right, brother. Appreciate you. What's the news? See you, pal. What is up, friends? It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing us around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around. What is up?
undisclosed. It's NDA. All right, just in time for the Fight Club, we got some big news. Some big news. If you are a fan of the WWE, which is coming to town tomorrow night for SmackDown, and if you listen to the show, you got to be a fan of wrestling. If not, we'll make you a fan of wrestling because that is our goal in life. Not our only goal, but it is a goal. So tomorrow, calling into the show, we wish that they could come in studio, but they're you don't always get that. Pretty Deadly is coming.
Yes,
on the
boy!
show. Pretty Deadly. Okay.
I got to tell you, I have never. They're not even going to see me unless we're trying to see if we can work them out on the stream, which would be dope. I don't care if they can't see me. Oh, I got another pair of glasses like these, different color. Those are getting broken out tomorrow. All right, we're just going full fashion icons tomorrow.
Well, I think you could bring the attitude and it'll work with them. So really looking forward to talking to Pretty Deadly. There are wrestlers that are the guys that you don't want to be in a room with because they'll beat the mess out of you. And then there are wrestlers that are entertaining, and every time they come on, they're entertaining. And these guys are that.
Yeah, they're the best. I don't know what to tell you. They are
one of them is named Elton. I mean,
one of them is named Elton.
Yeah, I mean,
I want you to know, they might be my favorite tag team in the game right now. It's just comedy gold, and they have had some bangers on top of that. Really excited about that.
Yeah, they can absolutely wrestle too, and that's
for sure they can.
That's what helps. If you go the comedy route and you can wrestle also, it leads to a lot of cool things. All right, just told you that SmackDown's going to be at the Well tomorrow night. Always a good time when the WWE comes to town. And wow, now I can strike something else off the. It is so. This is one of the coolest times in my radio career. The fact that we've been able to interview so many wrestlers, and I don't really get nervous interviewing wrestlers because they're awesome.
Yes, boy.
They really are. All right, a couple of things in WWE before we jump to a pay-per-view in AEW that will be for Nerf Wall.
Word.
And you and I both not completely up to speed on AEW, which makes it a little more even ground. A couple more things on WWE. Are you glad CM Punk and Drew McIntyre feud is over?
Allegedly over.
Yeah. I mean,
no, I honestly
staples,
enjoyed it.
Man, staples.
I enjoyed it, and they it's one of those things where it's like professional athletes. I want professional athletes to go out on top. It gets sad when, and it doesn't, some of them do, but it gets sad when they hang on a little too long and the performance dips, and especially if it gets to the point that they are very clearly costing their team. It's kind of the same with wrestling matches. I want you to walk out on a 5-star OMG banger, and that match was gratuitous violence at its finest. I was all in for it. So yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You kill a feud when you can't take it any further. And my question is, where would you go to take that story further? I don't know that there is anywhere.
Well, the story's over because Seth Rollins walked out and kind of interrupted CM Punk a little bit. So we're getting back to that. What was going to be a WrestleMania match. And you hate to see anyone get hurt, but CM Punk getting hurt led to that double main event last year, which was pretty good. Does NXT have the best women's division in all of wrestling, especially with 2 new additions?
Does it? Yes.
You got Julia, you got Vacour coming in. It was a pretty big deal when they both were in the ring together.
Yep.
Tuesday night on the CW.
Does it? Yes. Should it? I'd argue no. I argue AEW should have a better division, but it's just like it's an afterthought over there, which is a big problem for me. It's one of my biggest complaints about that company right now. But in terms of the roster and what they are doing with it, yes, I think NXT is doing better than anybody else. You effectively have on the main roster, you've got the Nia Tiffany Stratton story going on right now. What else is being done on the women's side? right? Like that you have the tag belts, but I don't think your tag champions have really been challenged in a way that's been interesting lately.
Well, they did lose and then they got them back. So yeah, I mean, Isla Dawn and I forget the Fire. Yeah,
Alba Fire.
Yeah, and I got them mixed up. But anyway, they won the titles and they lost it back to Jake.
Yeah,
Cargill
but I mean,
and
come on,
Bianca.
they won the titles because they had to give a Scottish team a Scottish win in Scotland because every other Scottish wrestler lost. So you had to have somebody go over, and that was the only choice that didn't create problems elsewhere.
I on behalf of this show, and I usually don't speak on behalf of the show, but I'm going to speak on behalf of this show, and Rob's going to completely agree with me. Shout out to Tony D and the family, because he got it done. He beat Obafemi.
Of course he did.
Yes.
Of course he did.
The previously undefeated Obafemi. It looked like it couldn't be done, but who got it done? Tony D got it done.
Because he had to, sometimes if you want to get it done, you need the love, respect, and admiration of the family.
All right, one final thing for WWE. Is Rock the head of the other bloodline?
I love that we are asking about the other bloodline because I don't know is the answer. I mean, I got Solo over here eating the L to the OTC Roman Reigns, but then I got The Rock coming out. Does Solo lay down for Dwayne? Do we have 3 bloodlines now? Do we have a Rock bloodline, a Solo bloodline, and a Roman bloodline? Is Roman going to be? So I don't know.
The Solo bloodline is the Rock bloodline. You watch.
We'll see.
That's what it is.
I mean, listen.
I suspected all along, and now I believe it's true.
People kept asking, what, are we going to kill the bloodline storyline? Like I said a minute ago about Seth and Drew. You kill a storyline when you can't go higher, not further, higher. If you can't elevate, the story dies. You add The Rock back in the mix, the story is elevated.
Okay, because it is for Nerf Wall on the Upstate Pulse. We're going to zoom through these things really quick. 11 matches are in AEW for Wrestle Dream. ROH World Television Championship, Atlantis Jr., who is the current champ, versus Brian Cage.
I mean, the machine has just not been anything for a while. I have no idea what's happening in AEW.
I know, that's why this is
your chance. The door's open.
Okay.
This is your chance.
All right.
I don't know who Brian Cage and who?
Atlantis Jr.
Brian Cage.
Okay, that's who I'm going with also. M&M Collection versus the Acclaimed.
I mean, I'm always going to be down for Scissor Me Daddy.
All right, me too. Darby Allin versus Brody King. Darby Allin is giving some heel vibes right now.
Sorry, who?
Friend of the show, Darby Allin.
Thank you.
Is giving some heel vibes going up against Brody King, getting pretty personal. Brody King has destroyed Darby Allin in the past, including knocking him out while choking him out while hanging him over the side of the ring. So who you got? Darby Allin, Brody King.
Give me Brody King.
I am going to go with Darby Allin. Because of some help of some sort. All right. Hologram versus the Beast Mortos in a 2 out of 3 contest.
Dude. Hologram.
All right. Rob is going with Hologram. I am going to go with the Beast Mortos because he's a beast. All right. Hangman Adam Page versus the leader of the Bang Bang Gang, Jay White.
Hangman. No. Jay.
I'm going to go Jay also because in order to make this into a feud that they want to make happen, it's going to be because of interference, of course. And Hangman don't have friends anymore. So, yeah, I am also going to go with Jay White. And he just came back from injury, so he needs some love. All right, the ROH World Championship match between Mark Briscoe and Chris Jericho. Because, and Jericho has stated that Mark's brother may have had a chance against him, but not him.
Stupid gimmick infringement. Gimmick infringement?
Yeah, because
holy crap,
the
Rob.
gimmick, you got to watch out for the.
Holy crap,
That
Rob.
doesn't work for me, brother.
I am going to go with Mark Briscoe to retain.
I really want to join you, but it's also Jericho. It just seems like anytime that he wants a belt, they just give it to him. I'll join you. I'm a Briscoe guy. the only group that I allow to use the words "we them boys."
And a member of the conglomerate, which we have had, friend of the show, Orange Cassidy, on the show.
Big fan.
Yeah. All right, AEW TNT Championship between the champion, the scapegoat, Jack Perry, and Katsuyori Shibata.
Jack Perry, because they're just going to refuse to stop trying to make Jack Perry a thing.
Yeah, I agree. AEW World Tag Team Championship, the Young Bucks versus Private Party. Yawn.
It's a spot fest. Give me the Young Bucks. Why not?
Yeah, same here. All right, AEW International Championship between Will Ospreay, Ricochet, and Takeshita.
Nailed it.
I know
Stuck the landing.
I know I can say Takeshita. It's just the first one, Konosuke. I have trouble with Konosuke.
I really want it to be Ricochet. And there's a part of me that thinks that AEW goes the WWE mentality and goes, we got one of theirs, strap a belt on him immediately. But Will Ospreay is the best and most over wrestler on planet Earth. He retains.
All right, so Will Ospreay's having trouble with Don Callis. Takeshita is
a Don Callis guy.
And is upset over being overshadowed about all the love going towards Ospreay. I'm going Takeshita wins.
Oh.
All right, AEW Women's World Championship, Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale. I'm going Willow Nightingale because she is my favorite wrestler for women on the AEW.
I know it is because it's always got to be sunshines and rainbows and glitters and unicorns for the great one, Lonzo. Mariah May is a star.
So that's who you're going with.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And finally, Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley. Kind of would be worth paying the money to watch this pay-per-view just for this match. The old BCC, I added a C just because of stuttering, and against Bryan Danielson. This is getting heated, which it should between the two. I'm going Moxley does beat Danielson, and this is his final match. It is in Washington. They could put the swerve on there and him win and continue his career. We know his career is coming to an end, and I'm going Moxley.
I am not going to agree. I'm going to go Bryan Danielson. I think there is a retirement tour. I don't think it's a.
He's been on that. He's been on that tour.
I know, but I don't think it ends here. I could be wrong, but I don't think they have. I mean, I think they have him lose his last match, but I don't think it's in front of the whole.
But here's the thing: I think he loses and doesn't retire because he wants the belt back.
Nah. I think when it's time, it's time. I'm going to go with BD for the win.
One more time as we go to break. Pretty deadly.
Yes,
on the show tomorrow. Pretty deadly on the show tomorrow. Pretty excited about it.
As soon as we get the deets confirmed about time and all that, we will put them out on the social media, and we'll just tell you, let's be honest, immediately out of the gate tomorrow morning. So be here for that. Going to be a good time. Friday night SmackDown live at the Bon Score Wellness Arena tomorrow evening. We're back after this to wrap up the show, the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Second text. We don't know yet, Shane. Yeah, again, we're working on that.
Yes, literally as we speak.
Yeah. Short break. This will be a first for the Rob Brown Show. I don't think we've interviewed a tag. I know we've never interviewed a tag team. We've interviewed members of a tag team, but not the two guys in the tag team before.
Oh man. Don't know yet, Shane. Sometime between 7 and 8:30. But as soon as we get that information, I'll tweet it to you. I'll tag you in the tweet when I get it.
Wow, that's awful.
Well, he's very P1.
Wow.
And I'm a giver.
He must be mellowing out as the show was ending today. I think he may have took the glasses off when he was in the hallway. I think that's what happened.
I did. I couldn't see my phone screen.
Yeah. That's why I've been making faces this entire time, because he basically can't see me.
Actually can see. These aren't super dark, but just my phone screen is.
I thought you weren't wearing your contacts, I guess.
I'm not.
Right. That's what I was talking about.
The Rob Brown Show wrapping up here on a Thursday. Big show lined up tomorrow. We got the owner, president of the Greenville Triumph, and the CBO with the Triumph, Joe and Doug Irwin, coming on the show tomorrow. If you missed the announcement earlier, man, as a soccer dude, I am over the moon. As a believer in local professional sports, I am over the moon. And as a fan and supporter of the Greenville Triumph, I am over the moon, because yesterday, the Triumph announced that soccer legend Ronaldinho is now a member of the ownership group of the Greenville Triumph. That's remarkable. Like that if you're not a soccer guy, I don't really know like what I could use to yeah, I do. This would be like if you're like local arena league club had Tom Brady buy into it. This would be like if your local basketball club had Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan or Shaquille O'Neal buy into it. Like, I mean, think about it. This dude is one of, and when I say this, trust me, if you're a non-soccer guy, when I tell you, this is as if one of the greatest of all time came to your local club. And it's like that because that's what it is. Ronaldinho is one of the greatest to ever lace up a pair of boots, to don a kit, and to take to the pitch. He's so good that I am going to use soccer terms to talk about it. I'm going to use football terminology to refer to it. I don't do that all the time. I've told you guys in the past, I am a big believer in, when talking to people who aren't necessarily soccer people, I am a big believer in using American lingo for it, right? They're not boots, they're cleats. It's not a kit, it's a uniform. It's not a pitch, it's a field. Because what I don't want to happen is have people feel uncomfortable or like they're out of the loop a little bit, right? Like if I'm going to talk about soccer, I want to talk about soccer in a way that non-soccer people don't feel like they're in over their head, like they're out of their depth, right? I don't want them to be uncomfortable because, when you try to learn something new, you don't go right to the tippy top. I mean, some of you do, but you don't go right to the tippy top and dive headfirst in. That's a real good way to get overwhelmed. And if you get overwhelmed, You can get to a point in your overwhelmedness that you lose interest, right? You gotta go into the shallow end and wait around a little bit. So I've said for years, when we talk about soccer, I talk about soccer utilizing American sports terms so that if you've never been around soccer before, you're not driven away like, oh, this is too much. It's too much change from what I'm used to. I don't want to do that to you. But when we are talking about one of the greatest to ever play the game in Ronaldinho coming on board with the Greenville Triumph, I don't know how to explain to you, if you don't already know, like how remarkable that is, like how much of a huge, monumental thing that is for a local team. That, right? This is a team that has already done, as far as I'm concerned, of all the local teams I've ever worked for, with, and around in my 17 years doing this. I've already told you, I mean it when I tell you, I think the Greenville Triumph do the best job of any team I've ever been around at connecting to their local community. This puts that team, genuinely, this puts that team in the national spotlight. This puts that team in the national. So this is now something that is going to be talked about on every major soccer outlet nationwide. This is the kind of thing that gets people buying jerseys in Tacoma, Washington, and Austin, Texas, and Boston, Massachusetts. This is huge. This is as if your local arena league team was bought into by Brady. Your local basketball team was bought into by Kevin Durant. This is an icon, and this is an icon who is now 100% on board. That's an incredible get. Joe and Doug Irwin join us tomorrow at 8:35 to talk about this, and somewhere just before that, Pretty Deadly joining the show. Yes, boy!
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Going to be a great show tomorrow. Hopefully, no glasses.
Oh, better glasses than this. And look how good these are.
We'll see. All right, time to ask Rob what is X, and he'll tell us why. We usually don't do this, but we're going to do this anyway because it's a before and after thing. Lieutenant Dan is Xing.
So this is real interesting. Lieutenant Dan is a gentleman who lives outside of Tampa on a sailboat, and he said that he was going to ride this thing out on that sailboat, et cetera, and he did, except for he didn't, because Tampa's mayor came out this morning and said that while there were claims to the contrary, he accepted shelter from the city, and emergency services had to go get this guy and bring him to a shelter to ride out the storm. So not only did he utilize social media to make himself famous, but then he chickened out of doing the thing he said he was going to do and put emergency service first responders out in a storm to come get his ass and save him from himself. As far as I'm concerned, the minute that storm hit the shore, you're on your own, bud. You decided to get famous from this. You're not putting other lives in danger because you decided to get social media clout. You should have left his ass on the boat.
It's amazing that you saw that. I didn't see any of that anywhere. So, okay. All right. The next thing that's Xing, well, it's not Xing, but I'm going to do it anyway. Steven Garcia.
All right. Steven Garcia.
I mean, you got to.
So as this storm came aboard in Florida, which is where former Gamecock and current Gamecock legend Steven Garcia lives. Steven Garcia, who, by the way, is on my wife's The List. Some of y'all know what The List is, all right? Steven Garcia is on my wife's The List.
Probably right after he defeated Alabama, I'm guessing.
I'm sure. About the time that Steven Garcia and the Gamecocks knocked off the Alabama Crimson Tide, my wife was coming to her own as a South Carolina fan. So Steven Garcia is on her The List, and she has made this very clear to me from the time that we started dating. Well, Steven Garcia, as the hurricane came ashore yesterday, decided to go be his own Florida man. He's full Florida man now. His own full Florida man.
He would do that no matter what state he's in.
I'm sure. But he's in Florida.
Have you read about some of the trouble he was in?
He's in Florida.
Okay.
He's a Florida man. So he went out yesterday and took a picture of himself holding an American flag as the storm came ashore. Totally butt-ass
Oh, no,
naked.
it wasn't a picture. There's video.
Oh, he did video too?
Yeah, there's video. I've seen video, unfortunately. That's popped up on our video on my feed. And even Diesel has commented on it.
I
Yeah.
don't know what to tell you. Steven Garcia he is a special kind of dude. I literally sent a screen cap of that because I just saw the picture that Steven Garcia posted of him buck ass naked holding an American. Oh, I see it now.
Yeah,
holding I said American flag.
It's a Gamecock flag.
It's a Gamecock flag.
And it's billowing in the wind. I'm talking about the flag.
Oh, you're
So
talking about both. You just
no.
It's
It's a video. It's a behind video, not a forward video.
Yeah, I mean, when I said butt ass naked, I know that because I saw the butt ass naked.
Okay, all right.
Dude's a Gamecock lady. You know what? Let's get him on the show again next week.
I mean,
but we're going for it.
I mean, why not?
Let's get Steven Garcia back.
You know.
He tweeted out, this bleep starting to get nasty. And then, like less than an hour later, tweeted out a picture of him in what I assume is his backyard, in what I assume is not his clothing, holding a Gamecock flag, and just telling the storm bleep you.
All right,
is the best way I can put it.
One more thing as we head out the door. A person who I think Steven Garcia probably would have been friends with and still could. That would be David Lee Roth.
David Lee Roth, who is 114 today.
No, he turned 70.
70. Yeah, that's close enough. 70 years old. David Lee Roth. Big fan, by the way.
Better Van Halen? Him or Hagar?
Him.
Hagar.
I'm not a Hagar guy at all.
Yeah, Hagar.
I mean, Van Hagar is fine, but it ain't Van Halen.
It was still Van Halen because Eddie was still in it. The name never changed. You people who say Van Hagar, you're weird. Okay, the name was never changed. Go away.
Van Hagar.
Take your sunglasses off. Be nicer in the office.
They're not sunglasses. They're fashion glasses. You know why?
Pretty Deadly.
You know why? Because I'm a fashion icon.
Are
And we'll
you?
confirm that tomorrow with Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy! That's it for us. Y'all have a spectacular rest of your day. Thanks for being here. Come back tomorrow, 6 to 10 a.m. when we do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later! My board froze, so I didn't get the goodbye clip.
Yeah, and so I was waiting for brother.
Yeah.
And I never heard of brother.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're expecting a brother and you don't hear brother, it's that's why music is there to mask that sort of thing.
All right, dudes and dudettes, we got stuff to do, so I got a jet. Thanks for being here. You're all lovely people. We appreciate it more than we can tell you. Tell your friends about us. Help us grow the
He was
show.
singing about love, James. Dude, I mean, come on.
Van Hagar.
It's not.
See you tomorrow. Goodbye.